We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again to the Claret and Booze Up again on a Saturday night. You're joined by myself, Nick. You've got Gary, Virgil of the Marshes, and our special guest, Charlie Walsh from Hammers Chat. How are we all this evening, Gary? Where are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in my inferior shed as usual here in Romford.
And John, how are you?
Yeah, I'm just at home. I just literally 10 minutes or so got back from a Leighton Orient Stevenage match, which I went to watch, or something to do, which was a board draw.
A board draw. Not much going on at all.
Terrible.
Oh, right. Okay. And Charlie, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm not bad. I'm in my living room. You can see my exercise bike and washing over there, which is all good. This is professional background we've got going on here. I've almost finished my pizza, which you saw me grab 3 seconds ago, which I shoved in my mouth at a dangerous rate during that intro. But yeah, I'm all right. Thank you for having me.
Good. Yeah, you don't hang around. Well, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be running through, sort of quite briefly, the great result against Genk on Thursday. That was fantastic. We're gonna touch on kind of what that means for us in the competition, and then we're gonna move on to some Hammers news as well. We've got another little section that we're gonna do before we move on to the Spurs review at the weekend. So what we'll do, we'll move straight into the Genk review, and we'll take it from there. So obviously Thursday night, Gary, you went to the game. What was it? I must admit, I missed the first 10-15 minutes of the game because I had the boys at training. So I missed the light show on TV and all that. Was the light show there again?
It was there again, and everything was good about Thursday night. I mean, I met up over Hackney Wick with a few friends who I hadn't seen in years, so it's brilliant. Went along to the game after a couple of beers, which is ideal. Saw the light show, and then saw West Ham light up the pitch as well. Not really light up the pitch. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. Yeah. I think we were, it was an excellent performance. I do love those European nights under the lights, though. They just feel so special. They feel special. I think as a performance, it was, how can I say, a little bit toothless up front, similar to some of our recent performances. But luckily for us, our set pieces are starting to function again. Thank God for that.
It did start slow, though, didn't it, that game?
Very slow. And, Genk did a good job. To be fair, I think they are the best team that we've played so far in Europe. I mean, Dynamo Zagreb the first time were poor away at their place. Vienna were really poor at home, embarrassingly so. At least Genk tried to do something to stop us, and they genuinely did. And they nearly had a bit of joy as well, to be fair. I mean, the 18-foot striker they've got, Paul Anucci, I mean, he was very unlucky when Areola came out and flapped at that ball. That was only a foot one side of the post. So, and they also had a goal disallowed. So they genuinely gave it a go, Genk. But I think eventually, we wore them down. Maybe in the end, fitness told, and set pieces. Really brilliant, as I've said already, really brilliant to see our set pieces. That's 3 set pieces in 2 games now, and absolutely buzzing. We're going to get back to the top of that set piece league.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they set us up. I think they set up pretty well, to be honest, Genk. I think they kind of frustrated us, didn't they, initially? But as you say, we broke them down in the end. We kept chipping away. We had far too much quality. How about yourself, John? What was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I couldn't get to the game. My son had training and we just couldn't get there in time. So I frantically got someone's login for BT Sports, as I did cancel it recently. I don't know why I did, actually. I would have probably rescheduled it in. I thought he was professional without setting the world alight. I thought it was he set them up correctly. We did the job well. I was very surprised that Rice and Soucek started together. Not because they didn't deserve to be dropped, but just because of fitness and that, and giving them a rest and things like that. Cresswell, set pieces, as I'm sure you've read and seen since the game. I think he's set up 8 or 9 goals this season directly. I think sometimes Cresswell goes a little bit unsung. We know he has his faults sometimes defensively, but generally, and I think this season especially, I think he's been very consistent, he has. As we discussed, Johnson, right back, yes, he's got a lot to learn possibly as an attacking fullback, but because he's got the defensive side of his game nailed, I think that's a good thing, especially for a youngster. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another mental flap. You was calling for him to start the other week. Jesus. I just thought it was professional without lighting up the world. You know what I mean? He done the job. That's what Moyes has done sometimes. I think just set us up in the right way. He got the players playing, and even if we're not playing well, we're getting wins, which is good. It's good to see.
Absolutely. I think my only criticism, if there is one, is that Souček stayed in the pitch. I think that's probably it.
Oh dear.
I thought he was going to get him off and rest him. I thought he would, but
he did.
He
did take him off, didn't he?
No.
Did he leave him on to the end? Oh,
he stayed on to the end.
He stayed on.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the game, Charlie?
Oh, I love West Ham right now, man. I'm so happy.
Yeah,
I've said this a couple of times, and people always look at me a bit funny when I say it. But I'm enjoying this season way more than I enjoyed last season, and it's because I just think we've got more to us now. Like you say, like the game, like you were just saying, like was kind of professional. It was fine. Like we weren't on fire. Yeah, I felt like we had a couple of levels to go above if we needed to. But we didn't need to. We just stayed professional. We got the job done, and it's 3-0, easy job, and then we move on, you know? But I'm looking at it, I'm saying, right now, we beat Genk on the reverse fixture, and all of a sudden we're top of the group with 2 games to go. Who would have thought, like at the beginning of last season, that we'd be saying right now, we could top our Europa League group with 2 games to go.
I know.
And we're just beating the teams left, right, and centre in very professional fashion. I mean, it's I love it. I utterly love it.
As excited as I was that we got into Europe, there was still a part of me that was worrying if it was going to kind of affect our season this year. You know, were we going to give it a go? Were we going to kind of not give it a go, which would be equally as miserable? But we seem to be managing it up to this point quite well. I mean, the league form isn't really suffering too much, and you can't ask for any more than what we've done in Europe. I mean, it's insane, to be honest. It really is.
I think that a lot of people were suggesting that obviously last season was a phenomenal season. And I think a lot of people, and probably some of us sitting here, we're probably thinking, oh, without the fans on their backs, they're relaxed, they're playing well, they're playing good football. But the fantastic thing for me is that they've embraced the fans coming back. It don't seem to have affected them generally. The fans are with them. There's always going to be moments and certain sections that maybe, you know, get a bit booing and all that stuff. But it seems to, it's as Charlie said, it's a good time to be a West Ham fan. And at 42 years of age, there's not been many times where I know I've got friends who support other teams that genuinely appreciate the way we play and appreciate what we've got, you know, and they say, yeah, you're doing well, you know.
I mean, I heard that the other night. Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara on the way home was hilarious. Talksport, and Jason Cundy was saying it's his guilty pleasure is watching West Ham. He said he really enjoys watching West Ham, and you don't really hear that. You know, there was a time in the past when we were always everyone's second team. Incidentally, we're only everyone's second team because we weren't a threat to the big boys. You know, we've only had a sprinkling of seasons where we were a threat to the big boys, but we were like good old West Ham, pat us on the head and put us in the corner. And we like the way you play, but we know we're going to roll you over. And, you know, this now, I think, you know, I've been going to West Ham since 1976. And I think apart from 1 or 2 seasons, literally 1 or 2 seasons, this is probably the only season in the top flight where I actually feel like we've got I can rely on the West Ham performance. I can be expectant of the West Ham performance. It's going to be of a certain quality, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think? I've got a quick comment here. Do you think Mike's kind of he's gone too quick? With this idea of booking a hotel in Seville already?
Well, it might be too soon because of the old red, green, and amber lists coming back or something.
Yeah, this is true.
But no, we don't ever have much expectation. Let's be honest. We're West Ham fans. We're generally realists. People always go, oh, yeah, you say you won the World Cup in '66. Yeah, we say that tongue in cheek. No one genuinely did, but, you know. But what I'm saying is that we're not that expectant. We just want hard-working players. And if you look at our team, let's be honest, right? I know we can think they're the best players in the world, but none of them players are world-class players. And I mean that with utmost respect. They're not, do you know what I mean? They're not world beaters, but what they've got is a togetherness and a work ethic and generally a togetherness that I haven't seen for a long time at West Ham.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's me being honest. That's how I feel. They're all playing for each other. They're playing for the manager. I think it's brilliant.
So sort of touching on these players that we got on the screen here at the moment. Obviously, I think the first one that we'll go to is Areola. Now, I like Areola, okay, and I do like him. I think if we was to stick with him, he would come good. But I am starting to get a little bit concerned with some of his performances that I've seen. I mean, he recovered again yesterday. You know, that was a bit of it reminds me a little bit of David James, if I'm honest. The way that he comes out and he's very decisive. When he makes his mind up, he's going to do something. Nothing changes it. He'll go for it. And that was crazy what he did on Thursday night. But luckily we didn't get punished. And the other thing, I don't know whether you noticed. We'll go back to the Vienna game. Because the one criticism of Fabianski I've got, if I have got one, is his distribution. And I was hoping that Areola was going to be better than that. He was going to offer us a bit of a different dimension. And that Austria-Vienna game, his just distribution was terrible. I mean, was it any better against Genk, in your opinion, his distribution? I've got to be honest, I didn't really...
There was one example. There was one example. It was in the first half. And he received the ball and he saw Cresswell breaking down left-hand side. And I was right behind it. And I could see he placed the most beautiful throw, powerful, direct, right into, that one where the sort of ball where the player doesn't have to break their stride. That was exactly what it was. So that gave me a little example of what he can do, because Fabianski never would have thrown that ball. He never would have thrown that ball with the energy that he threw it. So I think he can do it, but there is a mistake in the guy, like there is a mistake in Fabianski. So between a rock and a hard place at the moment.
Yeah, I agree, and I think everyone's heard our thoughts on Areola and Fabianski, but certainly on this channel, it'd be interesting to sort of hear your take, Charlie, on this debate.
I like them both a lot. I think the calls for people to put Areola in, I've understood. I think it just comes down to David Moyes trusts Fabianski more at this point, because that's just how David Moyes rolls. He's conservative in that sense when he's bringing new players in. He always has them sit and wait for their turn and earn their place in. That's totally fine. So when we were all talking about, we should get Areola and blah, 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 blah. Maybe, but it's not going to happen. Let's be real about it. And that's totally okay. No. I really do like Areola, and I think he's the opposite to Fabianski in that sense of he will come and punch it. He will try and play the ball faster. And that's I don't think that's a criticism. I just think that's two different styles of play. And personally, I know especially when I'm at the game, I'm a little bit calmer when I'm not at the game and I'm doing watch alongs, because I've got 15,000 other things to think about. But I know when I'm at the game as well, when it is, say, a corner and the goalkeeper collects the ball, it infuriates me to no end that they don't just play it faster. I'm like, this is the time for a counter attack. Why are we standing and waiting? No, go. And Areola kind of has that just zip to him that I really appreciate.
He's decisive. He's decisive, and I think maybe kind of a symptom of being as decisive as he is that every now and then he's going to get it wrong. And I think maybe we're highlighting faults.
He also made a brilliant save the other night. It wasn't a save; it was an interception where he was so quick out of the box. Fabianski wouldn't have got that. He wouldn't have got that, right? It would have been a one-on-one with a keeper.
I do think though you're comparing chalk and cheese, as Charlie quite rightly said, in comparison to those two. Areola's a modern style keeper. Fabianski's 36, and that side of his game has never been natural because hasn't grown with that style of play. No. And it's something that he's probably tried to incorporate somewhat in the latter stages of his career. But sometimes it's a case of better the devil you know. Do you know what I mean? And there's no point in him trying to be something he's not. And I think we expect him to come out and catch and punch and all that, but it's never been him. No, so whether you like him or rate Areola more or not, they are completely different. Areola's the future keeper or the current style of keeper, and Fabianski, with all due respect, is sort of the old style more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't know whether Areola is better than Fabianski. I think Fabianski I think Fabianski is a better. His core goalkeeping skills are better. I think. Perhaps not coming and catching throws and stuff, but I think he's certainly more dependable from what I've seen. Yeah. But when you look at these modern style keepers, which Areola is, they do add another dimension to your game, don't they? They kind of do give you that ability, as Charlie said. They'll see a pass, they'll see the opportunity, they'll get you on the front foot really, really quickly. I think he kind of got to weigh it up, and they've all got errors in them. You know, even if you look at Alisson of Liverpool and who's the other one who plays for Man City, he's Edison. It's similar for them as well. You know, every now and then, because they kind of do take risks, they will make mistakes every now and then. You know,
I think there's also the case of like, if we're playing more attacking, which we are doing this season, where we're committing more people forward, we are going to be slightly more susceptible on the counter attack. And we were already semi-susceptible on the counter attack last season, but that was more just an issue of, I think, gelling in a team or whatever. But if we are a little bit more susceptible on the counter attack, it can be useful to have a goalkeeper who is. I think decisive is a great way of putting it, who is just going to go make his mind up and go, right, I'm coming straight out and I'm going to try and stop this attack myself. If the ball's coming over the top and commit a little bit, it can be incredibly useful. And that's one of the reasons why Neuer was sort of so revolutionary in the game, is because he was almost a centre-back playing in goal. He could come out and stop it and then just take the ball and play it. And it's that kind of thing where Areola can add that little bit of a little bit more dynamic, especially in these Europa League games where we are going to be naturally the team who are on the front foot and committing more people forward. It might not be the case when we're facing some of the bigger Premier League teams, but certainly in the Europa League, when we're facing Genk and we're expected to win by several goals, it can be super useful to have someone like that in goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sort of moving on to sticking with the game, but sort of looking at a couple of the players on the other team. I think we should have a look first at the player that we were linked with. I'll try and pronounce his name. Paul Onuachu. What were our thoughts on him?
Well, I was looking at his size. He's 6'7" right, and he's 22 million quid. So that's
I'm about to cut his legs off to get him on the screen.
Well, it's like it's 3 million quid a foot, and I don't think you're getting good value for money there. I think he's basically a really old-fashioned, straightforward target man. He doesn't really do a hell of a lot on the floor. He's good in the air, but I'd be good in the air at 6'7". Let's be honest. He's, I didn't really see much else other than his presence in the air, which you would expect. How about you lot? I didn't see anything.
I mean, I don't think he suits our style. Number one, is he someone we'd buy as a plan B? I still don't think he'd suit a style. To be honest with you, I'm glad he never scored that goal, because if he did, his valuation would have gone up another 10 million. So if they do want him or not is another story. Personally, I just, it's only one game. I've seen clips of him on YouTube. Anyone can look good on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't see it, if I'm honest with you. We're linked with every bloody body, aren't we? Let's be honest.
Yeah, we are. How about yourself, Charlie? What were your thoughts?
I thought he was largely ineffective. As a player, I quite like him as a player, but I do have a penchant for just a massive bloke. And he is huge. He is bloody huge. Like, I do get a little bit over every time there is just an unnecessarily large striker. I do get a bit giddy about it. Like when we were facing Everton the other week, I was like, oh, but Rondon's here and he's bloody huge. So I do get a little bit excited about it. But I think as a player, I think he's all right. I think he had a really, really good last season, and he seems to have dropped off a little bit this year. I don't know whether it's because his head was turned, because he was getting linked to Premier League clubs or whatever. But still, having playing a slightly worse, I think he's got more goals than games than he does currently in the Belgian league in the this season specifically. I think he's got 9 in 8. I might be wrong about that. Right. But in Europe, but if he's not going to suit the style of play, he's not going to come in, and he would not suit our football currently whatsoever.
Definitely not.
And at the weekend, in the game, I thought he was okay, but he was really largely ineffective, unfortunately for them.
The things that the camera doesn't quite pick up. I mean, firstly, Dawson was quite good with him, but there was one time in the second half where I thought it showed a really immature player, because Diop was directly behind him and he was backing into Diop. And what Diop did is he put his hands around him and he had his hands on his chest. And immediately his hands touched his chest. Onuachu looked at the referee. Diop then took his hands away. So by the time the referee looked, then nothing had happened, and he had completely lost his momentum and missed the ball. It was just a complete waste of time. I didn't see anything from him. I didn't see anything.
No,
I think it says how ineffective he was that he was man marking Diop for Diop's goal, and Diop climbed above him to head the ball in. That shows how ineffective he is. That's his main trait, and he couldn't even do that.
They were fantastic deliveries from Cresswell, though, weren't they?
Yeah.
They really were. They were fantastic. But talking about Genk, I think the one player that I was impressed with was this chap.
Yeah, very good, very good. I liked him. I think we've all got a little penchant for a tricky winger, and he's a very good winger.
Is he Japanese?
Yes, I think he is. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he might be.
The Japanese Juninho, is that his name? Juninho.
Yeah, he was excellent. I think he was good. I mean, they probably were unlucky with their goal as well. I mean, it was marginally offside, wasn't it? It was offside, but you know, they could have obviously got a goal as well. But on the whole, I think if we kind of move on from that for now, you know, final thoughts on the game for me. Brilliant result. It was never in doubt for me. 2 goals less than what I predicted. You know, I did say 5. I kind of had my doubts initially when I was watching the game. I thought it was very slow, and they looked quite dogged. Probably the best team I think that we've played so far. Even though we beat them 3-0, I think they caused us more problems than the others. So I think, you know, all in all, you know, 3 goals, another clean sheet in Europe. You know, you can't really ask any more than that, can you?
I can't remember what I predicted, Nick. What was it?
You know exactly what you predicted. Shame you never had a bet on it, innit?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I know. Well, I think you shouldn't, because the minute you do that, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. Did you have any kind of doubts going into that game, Charlie, or was you sort of pretty confident?
The thing is, I'm the flip of most West Ham fans, where, and Gary probably knows, I've probably spoken to you before matches, Gary. I don't know if we've ever had this exact conversation. I'm usually the calmest human being in the world. I really am. Like, I'll be down on the boats before the game, and people are like, "Oh, how you feeling? Are you nervous?" I'm like, "Nah, it's all right. It'll be fine." Like, I'm usually incredibly calm, but for some reason, these Europa League games are just terrifying me. And it's because we're so used to seeing us get done in by Astra Jiju, who finished 4th in whatever league it is, and you're just like, what is going on? Why are we so bad? Whereas, and so like that dread was still in me, but this was the most confident I've been in any of these games. I was like, I said 3-1 to us, and that was just because I felt like they did have enough to get a goal. And I mean, I was relatively close, but honestly, I like going into. I can't wait for the away fixture. Like, I cannot wait for it now, because we're going to go there. We're probably going to get the win. We're going to top the group. And like saying that as a West Ham fan is usually the most insane thing to say. But right now we just have that belief where you just go, we're probably going to beat them. We're probably going to be top of group. Next. Come on. Who's next? Come on, let's go. Sort of thing.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. Well, with that, we'll wrap up that section, and we'll move on to Claret and Booze news. So Gary, over to you. What I'll do is I'll throw up your first slide.
Yeah. Okay. So look, welcome all to Claret and Booze news. So look, we talked about Europe a lot tonight. So the first topic is Europe. West Ham are now only 3 points away from winning the group and qualifying for the last 16. Absolutely incredible achievement. We're just one 2-legged game, effectively, once we win that, away from the quarterfinals of a major European competition, which is much better than being dumped out of the qualifiers by Astra Gugu and being rumped over 2 legs by Palermo. But let's get it right. This campaign is so far an absolutely stunning achievement. So just how good is this? And will we win our next away game to Genk? The answer is yes. Will we be fielding some of the youngsters in the games after that, the 2 to follow that? And who do we want in the next round? So yeah. Charlie, what do you think?
Oh, it's just good, isn't it? It's just nice. Let's just appreciate the craft of the slide. I think we need to appreciate that first. Just the structure, the put together nature. I think we need to appreciate that first. But then after, we could just appreciate looking at the group, just vibing it, just feeling it. You know, I'm getting text messages from people who support other teams going, "Oh, you're doing all right, aren't you?" And I'm like, yes, we are. Arsenal fans. Yes, we are. Yeah, I think we will win. I think we'll top the group. And I'd love to see more youth players come in for the last couple of games. I think the rotation, and this is the thing that I think's been best about it, is we have been rotating. You know, we've not been playing our first 11 in Europe. We've been playing our sort of backup 11. And that's even more impressive because they look just as well drilled as the first 11.
Yeah.
And so it allows us, or it should allow us, to say, when we want to bring on Chesters, for example, he can come on and do what he wants to do. And we know the other 10 players around him know exactly what they need to do to cover, and it gives them this sort of freedom to succeed as a youth player. We don't need to put all of the pressure on them. So I that would be beautiful. If the last couple of games we could give some game time to Chesters, to say Ashby or whoever else it ends up being, just to give them more time and experience on the pitch. And give maybe someone, maybe we end up putting Vlasic behind the striker, or I don't know. Just there's just a lot of things that it allows us to do that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think now what we've done is we've given ourselves that comfort blanket. Now I think I think we've won that group. I think we've won that group, easily. I think the goal difference as well, that's worth another point, isn't it? I think you mentioned that yourself, Gary.
Yeah.
I can't see either of the other three teams winning 3 games. It's not going to happen. They're all going to take points off of each other. We saw when we went into that game, we thought because I think Zagreb and Rapid were playing. They played before us, didn't they? And we all saw that Rapid, they beat them before that game. So I think we're going to win it easy. And I think he's played a mix. I think you're right, Charlie. He has rotated, but he's played a lot. He has played a lot of the first teamers as well. He's made sure. I think he's done a job. He's made sure. He hasn't. He didn't put in. Like the team that we fielded against Man United in the cup game. He's really giving it a good go.
You got to love Twitter.
Yeah.
And when people were saying the other night that we have won, are going to win the group easily, a few people responded, because they're always looking for something nasty to say, and said, "Yeah, but it's the fucking easiest group, right?" Well, yeah, it might be the easiest group, but 2 of those teams at least are ranked above us in the UEFA rankings. We were the lowest ranked apart from 1, I think, and that aside, we've only played like a 30 or 40% first team in all of those games, and we're sitting top of the league with 9 points, top of the group with 9 points. So it's not like we played our first team, because we haven't. It's been an absolutely brilliant balancing act by Moyes to pick just the right amount of people that he needs, which is basically Declan Rice and a couple of others.
Yeah, that's it. But I think in terms of kind of can we go all the way?
Well, Mike's already booked his hotel in Seville, hasn't he?
What do you think? Yeah, I mean, I think.
No, I mean, if he's done it, why not?
Why can't we go all the way?
We can.
I know.
No reason.
But if you look at the teams, we won't ponder on these too much. But if you kind of flick through them, so if we win the group, who do we face?
Well,
is it a second place team?
What happens is if we win the group, we go through to the last 16, and the teams that are in second play the third place teams from the Champions League. So we've got to look at, and apparently I don't know when this sort of routine started when the Champions League dropped into the Europa League. I think it's been going since about 2010 or 2006 or something, and since then, 8 Champions League teams who have dropped in have won it. So they're a danger. They are a clear and present danger when they drop, right? So we've got to keep our eyes on them. But fact is,
is it first place teams? That's who we're going to play.
No. If first place teams go into the last 16 of the competition directly, right?
Yeah.
The second place teams go into playoff games against the third.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So we will be drawn against, but we'll be drawn against other teams that finish first in the last 16.
There's a whole round in between.
So we skip the next round.
We did a video on it, me and Gio, and we had to really sit and try and figure it out. So there's a whole nother round. So we basically get a bye for the next round and go through. So we'll be facing people who win from the playoff games that happen between then and now.
Right, okay.
That is the best way to put it. A bye, yeah. So because it's called officially a round of 24, isn't it?
Something like that,
yeah.
But if you look at the teams, there are some good teams there. Yeah.
I
mean, Leicester. You look at Leicester. I'd be surprised.
Oh, you don't want Leicester, though, did you? Would you want Leicester?
No, I wouldn't want Leicester. No, not at all. No, but there are some good teams. I mean, Marseille would be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be good to play them. As somebody said in the chat, Zuma versus Payet. Lazio would be good. I mean, it'd be good to play a Scottish team, wouldn't it? I'd quite like to get drawn against Rangers or Celtic, but I don't think that's going to happen. I can't see them progressing.
I would love to get drawn against Rangers. I was listening to that TalkSport debate last night with, it's always a bit tongue in cheek, right?
Yeah.
I don't often listen to TalkSport, but you had this Rangers guy phone in after they were complimenting West Ham, and he said, I'm not going to do a Scottish accent.
No, don't do any accents.
It always turns out as some sort of Yorkshire. Right. He basically, in summary, he said, West Ham are rubbish. Rangers are brilliant. We'll take them any day of the week. That's the essence of his message. And Sorry, mate, that's wrong. That's just wrong. We turned over Celtic in our sleep in pre-season. Rangers are not a good side. They're not a good side. They struggled. What did they beat Brøndby the other night? They struggled through against Brøndby.
Massive.
They're top of the Scottish League, but you know, I think with a bit of training, I could be part of that team who's top of the Scottish League.
So, very true.
So yeah, look, I'd love to play Rangers. I'd love to, you know, more than anything, I'd love to play Barcelona. I'd love them to finish third because I think we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, well, if you look at this, you look at it's the teams in third, isn't it? Teams in third are at risk of dropping out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's quite a few that are in. I mean, AC Milan, Inter.
Yeah.
They're Barcelona.
So Charlie, you know more about football than most of us, right? So who do you want in the next round? I want a big, exciting game with a big name team that we can beat. Who do we do? Who do we get?
Oh, Barca are the team. Genuinely, Barca are the team.
Yeah,
Barca are at 6s and 7s right now. You'd be looking at any of the Champions League teams because the thing is about the Champions League sides is they're usually the teams who are expected to do as well as possible in the league as well. So you're looking at, say, Barca, Real Madrid, for example, they're fighting for the league. I mean, Barca aren't this season because they're trash, but you're looking at those sort of teams, they're looking to fight for the league, right? So a lot of those teams, if they drop down into the Europa League, there is split conflicts. I mean, like, for example, the stat that you were saying about 6 of the last however many have been Champions League winners. I mean, 2 of those seasons, I think, were Sevilla themselves, who under Unai Emery just kept winning the flipping Europa League non-stop. They would get into the Champions League, fail out of the group stage, and then just win the Europa League again. It would be one of the big times from the Champions League. And to be honest with you, that's kind of what I want as well. Because I think, I think we're good enough. I think, B, I think we play the right style of football to do it. And I think C, it's kind of like, as much as I want to see us go as far in Europe and win a Europa League and everything else, obviously that's the goal.
Yeah.
The fun of Europe is like, oh my God, we could conceivably go to the new campus, West Ham versus Barcelona in an actual competitive fixture, not some preseason friendly that is fun, but it's not really meaning anything. No, we're going to be going up against their best team. That's the kind of thing you want to see, right? At least I do. So I think those are the ones you're looking for. And if anything, the Europa League teams, if you come up against those, they have more of a dog in that fight. They're going to want to, they want to pursue it more. They want to earn it more. Whereas the Champions League sides, when they drop down, they're like, well, do we do this? Do we do the blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I mean, I want to see us face the biggest team possible. Whoever is left, who is the largest team, the biggest stadium, the most clout, whatever you want to say, that's who I want.
Yeah.
And I want us to go there and I want us to beat them 1-0 in a smash and grab, and then we can all have a grand old time. I'm fine with that.
Charlie has no fear. Charlie has no fear.
Who are the teams that you're most concerned about, Charlie? If it's the Europa League teams as opposed to the Champions League ones, which I agree with, which are the teams, because I don't really follow too much European football, so which ones do we really need to sort of keep an eye out?
Lyon are looking pretty good at the moment. I think they won the other night as well. Napoli are looking decent. They're looking decent in the league as well. I think they're looking all right. Honestly, the people I'd be most scared of would probably be Leicester, even though they're not doing anywhere near as well in the Europa League as we are. They know what we are. We know what they are, and it's a different. Although you face them in it's a different context. It does naturally make the game different. It does all of a sudden put a different dynamic on the game where you would be. Let's say we drew Leicester. You'd be nervous maybe if we started the team we started against Genk a little bit. You know what I mean? There is a little bit more in that game. So Leicester are probably honestly the most dangerous ones. I think when you're looking at the Europa League sides, at least.
I think Charlie hit the nail on the head there, though, because if you play Leicester, they know us. They know our players, right? And as much as we love West Ham, we love our current squad. A lot of these European teams, they know West Ham, but they don't know these players, apart from Rice, maybe, right? So they'll be thinking, like, they would have no idea how to play it. They would not have met an Antonio before.
Cheers.
No.
Right? They won't know how to play against their style, I believe. And I think that's why we shouldn't have any fear. Like Charlie's got no fear. And to be honest with you, whoever we get, I think we can honestly beat on our day. And because, well, we've got to lose. You know,
absolutely.
I think that's how I see it anyway. I think a lot of our players, they're not, you know, week in, week out European football players, are they? How much experience is there in European football, really? 3 or 4 of them, Zuma, Rice. You know, I'm talking about European games, not international, obviously. And I just think I don't think we've got any fear. And I think Charlie's right. Whoever we get, we can beat on our day, you know? And I don't really fear anybody. There's always a romantic side getting someone, but anyone for me, you know, anyone.
I think you've got to beat the best to win the tournament. I don't think it really matters who you play in the knockout stages. I'd love a you know, wouldn't we love an easy draw and just get through to the quarterfinals and take it from there? But basically, from the last 16 onwards, whoever we play, we're going to have to beat to win that tournament. So if it's Barcelona, if it's Leicester, I don't care. I think we can do it. You know, part of me, you know, I'd love to go to the Camp Nou and watch West Ham. Not that I'll get a ticket. You know, it's I'd love to. I'd probably go to Barcelona just for.
You'd make the journey, wouldn't you?
Well, I like Barcelona. I've been there loads of times, and I'd probably go there just for a drink, and soak up the atmosphere. But Rangers, Ibrox. Imagine that. Imagine going to Ibrox as a West Ham supporter. Going there with like the upper hand as the big team, because that's basically what it would be, right?
Never going to happen, though, is it? I mean, if you look at,
I think Rangers are going out. They always,
that's I can't see it, to be honest.
Right. Well, what's his name? Steven Gerrard. He's being linked with a Newcastle job, right?
Ain't everyone?
Yeah. Lampard is as well.
Lampard. Why would you get Lampard?
All right, so moving on to the next section, Gal.
Yeah. So next up, we have strikers. We don't have very many. In fact, we only have Antonio. So in January, we've been linked with a couple of people. Firstly, the static giant who played up front for Genk, Paul Uniechu.
He's big though. He's big. He's like 2 stripes. Look at him there. He's massive.
Charlie's in fear. Charlie's scared of him. Charlie's scared of the size of the geezer.
Mate, he's bloody. Look at me in that picture. Look,
I can see him.
I bloody love it.
He's not going to come out the screen. Calm down.
That bloke next to him is 6 foot. You know that.
He don't look 6 foot.
That is him, and there's also Lacazette of Arsenal, who we've been linked to every summer since time began.
Yes.
So our old striker Sebastian Haller appears to now be worth 50 million quid. With Dortmund said to be interested, and we appear to not have a sell-on clause. So, John, do you fancy any of those players or any others?
You fancy them in what way?
Yeah, not in that way.
He's
way.
bloody tall. I'm telling you, he's tall.
So that was the first question. Do you fancy any of those players playing for West Ham?
Oh, yeah.
And why the hell don't we have a sell-on clause?
Why don't we have a sell-on clause? Unfortunately, that is just purely bad business sense, isn't it? I mean, sometimes you have to. I'm not a successful businessman, right? I'm successful in my own right, but as businessmen that they are, all three of them, and business women, Karen Brady as well, you just wonder what on earth they've done there with that deal. You know, I mean, all right, he didn't have the best of times at West Ham. We know that. There's always arguments for and against. Did we play the right system? Blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you're still selling on a guy that 2 seasons or a season before he came to us was one of the best in Europe, allegedly, according to the stats. So why would you not have a sell-on clause? It just baffles me.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. You know, I mean, people have sell-on clauses for people in League Two. League Two players sell players. Rochdale will sell a player to Norwich and have a sell-on clause.
We've got one for
what are we doing?
You know, we've got one for Anderson, but he's going to stay at Lazio for the next 10 years.
Yeah, he won't leave. He'll just do that out of spite, won't he, I suppose?
Yeah.
Lacazette, if you're going to get him on loan to the end of the season, I can't see it being, why not? But is it? I don't know if he's the right move for us, really. I think I'm not sure he would fit into our mentality, the squad mentality, squad ethos, if I'm honest with you. I don't look at him and think team player. And I think you've got to be very careful who you bring in, because Moyes has created, as I said earlier, a massive unity in that squad, right? And we can all sit here and go, the squad's small. I've done it myself. The squad's too small. Antonio's one striker. We know that. And I've been very critical of that, as I know thousands of West Ham fans have. But you've got to be so careful who you bring in. The thing is the personality is as important as the attributes they bring on the pitch.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to bring someone who's going to upset the apple cart, to coin a phrase, you know. And
completely agree.
So true at the minute with this team, because they are working for each other as a whole unit like I've never seen for a long time. I nearly start crying then. But it's so true. And you don't want someone coming in. I think Lacazette is probably, in his own mind, too big for West Ham.
Yeah. And look,
in his own mind.
It'd be nice for us to give him another opportunity to knock us back, though, wouldn't it? I mean, that'd be nice. So I think we've got
I mean, I'm
that.
surprised. I'm surprised we're not linked with Olivier Giroud again, because that's been going for 2 years.
Yeah.
I was surprised we didn't go back in for Batshuayi again. You know, how many times did he knock us back? Blimey. I'll tell you what. I have got a question though. Now, as you all know, I do like Haller. I was really excited when he came in. I accept that he had to go. I do. It weren't working. But do you know something? I think it was circumstances. I think that what happened was his time got spoiled at West Ham, and I think he wanted out. I believe, and I do, and I'm not suggesting that we go and buy him back for 50 million, by the way. I believe that if David Moyes signed Sebastian Haller now, he'd never played for us before. I think Haller would be a roaring success. What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I am also a Haller apologist in many ways, and I will happily put my hands up for that. The first couple of matches of the watch along when I started doing them during the beginning of lockdown were very rough because I was very pro Haller and the chat was very anti Haller. That was a fun time. If you ever really want to get humbled, I would say do live YouTube and just let comment sections come at you and say something like that. But yeah, no, I think we're playing a system now that would suit him a lot more, to be honest with you, because there's more people in and around the striker, We've got 3 in behind the striker who are getting more involved. We're playing a lot more attacking, so it would suit him. Obviously, like you, I'm not saying we should go out and sign him, but I do think he would be a much bigger success. And the fact we don't have a sell-on clause is just complete chaos. I don't understand how that even begins to happen at a club like ours, to be honest with you. But yeah, I would take Lacazette quite happily. I think speaking about him purely as a footballer as opposed to a person, I guess, I think he's a hard-working footballer. He does a lot of defensive work as well as attacking work. If you're looking at the 2 sort of strikers they have, who are both unbelievably good in terms of Aubameyang and Lacazette in their own minds, Lacazette works a lot harder than Aubameyang defensively. I think he dropped back a lot. I think he would suit the sort of dogged determination. I think you look at his stature and the way he plays, I think that would suit Moyes' system. It really is just a case of mentality wise and does he fit within the group. This is maybe a basic way to look at it. We have enough French players to maybe he might vibe coming at this point. We've got quite a few of them: Areola, Zuma, so on and so forth. Diop, Masuaku probably speaks French, but I mean, it's a case of whether we would personality, and that's kind of the important thing. We need one quite badly. Because as much as and this isn't a diss to Bowen at all, but when Bowen does play, you do see a significant drop off, and that's just because it's not his thing. Bowen has all of the work rate in the world to try and make it work, but he doesn't have that little something that Antonio has that pushes him into actually making it work. And Yarmolenko, again, I'm just a Yarmolenko apologist as well. I think he plays all right up front, but it's just not a case of it just does not suit the system at all. So we need someone and we need to go and find him. As Michael was very keen on saying in the chat, Tony is the obvious option, but he's just not available in our price range for us, unfortunately. We should have gone and got him before. That would have worked out, but it is what it is.
What do you reckon his value is now?
Tony?
Yeah.
Well, he's English as well, isn't he? British.
30, 40 million.
It would have to be. I would see him going for at least 40.
Yeah.
But why? 40. But we paid 35 for Vlasic, and it's no.
Yeah, but you're not. Yeah, but Tony was never going to leave Brentford. If they didn't get promoted, he probably would have gone. But the fact they got promoted, he was always going to stay with them. No money in the world would have got him out there, especially in season 1. And if they stay up for a few years, then he might leave. But at the minute, he ain't going nowhere. They don't look like they're going to get relegated. They're quite a good side, Brentford. He's going to be there for another couple of years. He's still only fairly young, isn't he? I mean, he's been around a few years. You've heard his name mentioned and that, but he's still a young player. So it would have been very difficult to no money in the world will get him out there at the moment, and we've got to put that to bed for a couple of years, I think, if at all.
It's a shame because he's an impressive player. I do like him.
I knew nothing about him, and it was the first time I watched him in the flesh was against Brentford, and he was very impressive. Very impressive.
Quality as well, he's not just a battering ram, is he?
No, I like him a lot. I'd happily see him at West Ham if we could afford him.
Yeah. But, okay, moving on to the next one.
So this is a good one. Sky Sports. This is the first of 2 about Sky Sports. The company who dip into my bank account once a month. Last Sunday, I switched on Sky Sports at 1 p.m. when the Everton versus West Ham game was due to start, the coverage at least. 20 minutes in, Still no mention of West Ham. I had to listen to Kieran Dyer guesstimating how good he thinks Newcastle will be in a couple of years' time. And David Ginola more or less admitting that he only went to Newcastle for the monies. And as he said, others will do the same. Anyway, I sat there patiently and read out as they read out the teams. And then they went straight back to Newcastle. Sky Sports, busy kissing the arse of the latest perceived behemoth. And I find it fucking boring. I get it with Man U and Liverpool with their global reach. I do not get it with Newcastle. Sky Sports, stop fucking talking about Newcastle and give me value and money for my prescription. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, nobody wants to see it at the moment, do they? And the thing is, I think I just kind of want the story to go away. It's not going to, is it? But I think, I don't want to get into all the political stuff again and everything else, but they can't dress this up. And that's what they're doing. And that's why Sky have gone into hyperdrive, trying to kind of big this up because it's, it is sports washing, isn't it? And that's all we're going to get now until we've finally accepted it and we swallow it and we kind of ignore it. This is all we're going to get. We're going to get brainwashed for the next 6 months to a year until we forget about all the other bits and pieces that we're talking about, that we have spoken about over the past few weeks. But yeah, it's leaving a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like Steve Bruce as a manager. I wouldn't particularly want him, but I don't like the way that the Newcastle fans were handing him out. Especially against Spurs. They started really well. And did you hear them booing like that? And they was literally calling for his head, in unison. They was all singing in unison, and it's not fair. It's not on. It shows a lack of class. I'm sick of the whole thing, to be honest. I really am. I did kind of like Newcastle to a degree. I think. Well, I didn't really think about them too much, but I can tell you now. I think that they're going to quickly become the most hated club at this rate.
Well, I don't know. You got to really look and see what the investment company are going to spend on Newcastle. I mean, the odds are, according to the experts like Kieran Dyer, that the rich people are going to come in because they've got several billions of oil wealth, and the fact they've got a very rich and expensive country to pay for as well. And royal family is neither here nor there. They've bought a football club. It's one of their many investments, and they're going to want a return on that investment. So how do they get a return on that investment? Because with Saudi, this is not a vanity project to polish up their reputation because they think their reputation is great already.
It is, Gary. It has to be. It's got to be.
It's not. They don't care. They think they're great already. They've got the support of the major. Do you think they honestly think they've got to win over the British public?
But there's not that much. There's not that much money. There's not that much money.
America and the UK governments on their side. Do you think they've got to win over the British public?
No, but what I mean is, it doesn't make sense because they don't. It's not. There's not that much money in football. Not when you talk about the type of sums that they deal with. So there's got to be there's got to be a deeper reason.
It's the type of sums that they've got, but not necessarily the type of sums that they will spend on a football club, which is an investment run by their investment arm. And they've got investments in Facebook and Disney and everything that pay them regular returns and regular dividends and everything else. Are they going to get that from their investment? Because this investment fund is supposed to be to fund the state of Saudi Arabia post-oil, right?
Yeah.
So that's what this investment fund's all about. So they need to get a return. How do you get a return? There are two ways to get a return. You either drive down the cost and increase the revenue, and increase the profit margins, right? Or you increase the quality of the product and therefore drive up the revenue that way.
Yeah.
Or it's a money laundering exercise. I just can't believe it is. I can't believe it's some kind of jiggery pokery going on or any kind of sports washing or anything like that, because they are a bit arrogant. And I've been to Saudi a few times. I've worked with Saudi a few times. So, those guys think that they are, how can I say, they have a preconception of that they don't have to clean up their act. They're already highly valued by other countries. And if you think that they're going to come over here and sports wash their kind of reputation just to please the British public, they're not.
I don't think. To be fair, I think I agree with both of you in several points you've both made. I do think it is sports washing, but in the sense of, because you're right. Ultimately, it's part. They have this thing called Saudi. I think it's called Saudi Vision 2030, right?
Yeah.
Which is this plan they have in order to basically decrease their dependency on oil money, because obviously at some point oil is going to run out. also, people are going to be less dependent on oil as climate change becomes a bigger and bigger issue. So they realize that, and they're trying to put as much money as possible as they can to decrease their dependency on it. But part of that is also tourism, and part of tourism is also sports washing to an extent, to make it seem more like you're more palatable to actually go there. Because if your first thing in your mind when you think of Saudi Arabia is what happened with Jamal Khashoggi in an Italian consulate, according to the CIA or whoever said it, don't come get me. If it's the first thing that you're going to be less likely to go there, is if you're thinking, the people are in Newcastle or whatever, and it's just a case of their sort of constant thing. They are obviously going to want to return on it at some point, because, like you say, it is an investment fund ultimately. But how they measure that return is going to be, I don't know if, at least initially, I don't know if that's going to be financial. It might be a case of just reputationally, they're saying, right, we can afford to put this much money into it, and then we can work our way from there. Because, like, I go on about wrestling all the time. I'm a big wrestling fan, right? WWE go there twice a year. They get paid $50 million per show. They go there from the Saudi Arabian government. $50 million, and that's just for a show. That's for one wrestling show. So, and that's going to do significantly less than it would owning a Premier League team, where you can put sponsorships on it. You can make the Newcastle go and play their preseason games there, all this other sort of stuff. So we'll see. And then again, it's the worst thing about it is, because like when Sky Sports report on it and they're talking about it in the build up to other shows or whatever, from a journalist standpoint, you've got to say what's the hot topic. You've got to clickbait, essentially, even if you're on the television. It is what it is. Like, I hate it, but at the same time, hey, it means they're more likely to come and watch my watch-along build-up instead of watching Sky Sports. So carry on. I'm completely fine with that in that sense. Right? But when you look at it and you say they're going to be spending this amount of money, this is that and the other, it's the saddest thing for me is looking at it and thinking, well, Newcastle fans are now essentially an advert for a corrupt regime, and that sucks. I hate it so much. I find it so sad when, and I get it. Like, if you're a Newcastle fan, you're obviously going to be unbelievably excited that all of a sudden you're the richest club in the world after being with Mike Ashley. But
kind of, Charlie. Yeah, kind of. I was asked this question the other week when Nigel was on about, what would you do? And I think, with my political beliefs, personal beliefs and everything else, I think probably that is the one thing that would turn me away from West Ham. And there's not much that would turn me away from West Ham.
I'm the same. I would have to go. But again, I understand people who say they don't and are sitting there and celebrating it. But I can't, when I see those images, I'm like, they're going to get put on a poster somewhere to promote tourism to Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, it's just sad.
Yeah. I was out in Saudi last February. It's no fun, I'll tell you. No fun.
No. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, John?
I sort of understand the fans' euphoria, the Newcastle fans' euphoria. Yeah. They've been craving for the two things they've got. Ashley gone.
I'm going to bring in Sean as well. He's nagging me to come on.
So sorry, we should do this thing.
Hello, Jim. How are you?
Sean, just hang on there a minute. Charlie, you're 5 minutes to go because you need to.
It's 9. It's 9 o'clock, not 8 o'clock.
It's not. Oh, brilliant. Oh, okay.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Good. Excellent.
I just think I understand the Newcastle fans' euphoria. They want Ashley gone. They want money in the club. They've got those two things. Like a lot of football fans, they're being a bit fickle. Whether they care politically or not is another thing. Probably most don't. But in a cold light of day, they might. But as a London taxi driver, personally, I've never had anything but good experiences with Saudis in London. As a people, they're nice. Obviously, the regime isn't. We know that. So we have to be careful not to put them all under one, one umbrella of.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. The people of Saudi, there's nothing wrong with the people of Saudi.
No.
This is the royal family or the Saudi nation's investment fund, and that's a different group of people to the people of Saudi, right?
it is 100%. But you know what's going to happen?
They're great.
Yeah, I know. And what's going to happen now, when they jump in my cab, they're going to be wearing Newcastle United tops instead of Man United and Liverpool tops, which would be quite funny, So,
I don't think they will, I don't think they will because, I've been around the Middle East and Asia quite a lot and travel quite a lot. And those guys are, there's a lot of loyal, the Man United and Liverpool bias comes from back like the 80s and 90s. And it was passed down through the generations where, if you go around the world, they are literally the only two clubs that have got a massive, and I mean massive, global following. Is Liverpool and Man United. The others haven't. Man City and new kids on the block. Chelsea, new kids on the block. As for us, we've got an inferior, global following to those teams as well. I mean, they're up and coming, but they're nothing like Liverpool and Man United.
No, and do you know what I always thought? Yeah, I'm going back to West Ham a little bit now, but you know when we changed our badge to West Ham London, I genuinely believed that was like a marketing ploy from Gold and Sullivan and that to get foreign investment, because the Saudi Arabians love London. They love England, but they specifically love London. And I'm not being London-centric about that. And I thought when we changed our badge to West Ham London, I genuinely thought that we would have like some Arabs or Saudi Arabians desperate to try and buy us. Do you know what I mean? But it never materialised, did it? But you know what I mean? That's what I thought would happen. That was what I thought would happen.
It's like that Russian who came over to London and looked at Spurs and then turned left and bought Chelsea. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Hang on. Sean's got an opinion on this. He's in the pub. He's got a bit of background music, so I'm going to control his mute on and off, so I don't drive us all mad. But Sean, you've been listening, mate. What's your opinion on the Newcastle stuff?
One of my opinions on this Newcastle thing is that the other day, the Premier League committee, or the chairman, held like an emergency meeting to say that the Newcastle governor couldn't sponsor the club, but that's all right for Man City and everyone else to sponsor their own club with the stadium and the shirts and everything else. So why is it not the same for Newcastle? No one moment Mike actually sponsored the stadium, sponsors Direct Arena.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and now because obviously everyone's scared of the money they've got and the potential that they're going to have, and I'm one of them. You know, you think bloody hell. You know, they're going to have 18 months now of signing top. What do you call them? Probably. They're going to have probably 8 months of signing like the Charleston type players. That's what they're going to have until they get the Champions League. They're not going to get Haalands and they're not going to get Harry Kanes. But they're
Kane.
You know, see how I've got that in there, Harry Kane, one of your favourites, Nick. Yeah, you know, realistically, they're going to go out there. They're going to get the Dele Allis. They're going to pay over the odds for the Dele Allis. They're going to do that. But I just feel that's a bit harsh on them that they called an emergency meeting and did that the other day.
It's understandable. I think that's petty. I agree with you because once they're in. They've got the money. How can they do that when it was called the Sports Direct Arena and the owner was Mike Ashley?
But that's just
that doesn't make sense.
That's just the Premier League saying, look, we're trying to control them. We're trying to control them. At the end of the day, they didn't do the fit and proper. They didn't do the fit and proper due diligence test correctly, did they? We all know that. Right, because of what they've done politically. So now they're going, okay, we'll paper over what we didn't do with this bit. Oh, look what we're going to make. Oh, you bloody, how dare you? But hang on a minute, you've let them take control of a club when you're beheading people, basically.
You know what? Well, look, I'll come to that in a minute. But the fit and proper owners test seems to be checking your bank balance. That's basically it, right? Yeah. There's no fit and proper. You know, and I'll tell you an absolutely sickening story that I only heard last week. And I did it before, but there were 3 kids, aged 17, caught up in a pro-democracy demo. In just demonstration, just out on the street demonstrating, no violence, no nothing, right? Out in Saudi, and all 3 of them were locked up, right? And you know, one of them who was you know, the star name that was being reported in the news, he actually got let off in the end. They were threatening him with crucifixion. You know, that is what they did to Jesus back in you know, 0. You know, that is, you know, some dark ages shit you got going on there. And the other 2 were beheaded. They were beheaded. And what they said about the guy that they were going to crucify is they said, "Oh, don't worry, because we'll chop his head off first, so it won't be, you know." These are on another level. These people they're on another level. I mean, and that's just one, and that was one of 47 people in a year that had been, I think it was a year, might be a month, I can't remember, had been executed. You know. If it's a year is too many, it's a month is too many.
Any's too many. But I mean, it's really difficult when we talk about like the fit and proper test, for example, not including morality, if you want to put it in those terms. It's always difficult to include something like that because, I mean, look at David Sullivan and David Gold, right? When they first took over at Birmingham and everything, they were like demonized because they were in the adult entertainment industry. And now listen, I watch Pornhub as much as anyone else does. It's a beautiful website. Go check it out if you haven't already. Do you know what I mean? It's just the facts of life. Like 30 years ago or whatever, they probably wouldn't have passed any sort of morality test to own a football club. But now we look at it as being, there's just some guys who made money off dirty mags and now they do business or whatever, they do property. And so it's difficult to cut those lines. The problem with the Saudi thing is this is like, it's so comically over the top evil. It passes anything. So when I've had this conversation with other people before, and they say, what about Chelsea's owner? He's got this and this. What about City's owner? He's got this and this. And it's like, yes, these are all bad things, and there are levels to this game. The problem is that Saudi Arabia are the final boss in that sense.
They're top trump. They have won the top trump.
They have won it, and it's kind of it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. I think we've exhausted that. We'll bring Sean in now. Like I say, I'm going to control his mute. But we'll do it back to front. We're going to do an intro now. Sean's he's a lovely guy, but bless him, he is a Spurs fan, and he's and he's come on very kindly to sort of assist us with our Spurs review, which I'm surprised he didn't back out after their defeat midweek. Go on, mate. Sorry, John.
Will he get a trophy for this evening? Because I wonder why he's come on at all. I mean, is he going to get? Are they going to? I don't know.
Welcome, Sean. Welcome, Sean.
Hello, Sean.
Hello, mate. How are you? You seem like a lovely man. You do. You really do.
I'm only joking.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do now, we've done the news. We've got another section.
No. We haven't done the news. We've got a bit more Sky, and I want to talk about it.
You want to talk about it?
This is news number 4.
Right, Sean, I'll mute you for a second, mate. I'll bring you back in.
No problem, mate.
Go on.
The next one. This is Gary Neville. Put the slide up, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, the slide's gone. The slide's gone. Go on.
Oh, you're joking. Anyway, look, a little bit more Sky. But a little bit more about Gary Neville, and this one is a little bit close to my heart. So, going to start by looking back at what Gary Neville said and Jamie Carragher said 2 years ago on Monday Night Football about Declan Rice, just after he'd broken into the England team. Carragher said that Harry Winks might bring more to the team, the England team. Gary Neville put Declan on par with Scott McTominay, and said he doesn't really believe that a centre-half can convert to be a top defensive midfielder because he played there once and he found it really hard. So they were condescending, clearly hadn't done their own work because, frankly, we all knew this kid was good, right? We watch him fucking week in, week out. We knew he was good. Roll on 2 years, Monday Night Football this week. We had to sit through a painful lecture in why Declan Rice must join Man United to improve and play at a top level. This is Man United, who are one place above us in the league, by the way. Also, he said that Man United could use him as a centre-half if they wanted to because, Man United, they could just have the player and use him however they choose because, they're Man United. And he'd be lucky to be a Man United. As if the useless Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Gary's mate, will improve him because he won't. Look, do you honestly think Declan Rice will improve under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer like he did under Moyes? Do you, look at what Moyes did for Lingard. So Gary Neville, fuck off, do one, and let's talk about this. I'm quite angry about this. I must admit, it might be coming through in my voice. I can't tell. But Nick, I suspect you are as well. What do you think?
I couldn't believe it when I kind of heard what he was saying. I mean, when you look at the progress that Declan Rice has made, and don't get me wrong, I agree to a certain point. I think that players, once they want to reach their true potential, once they are fully developed, they're going to want to go on and they're going to want to win trophies and stuff like that. But if you want to get to be the very best that you are, I think if you want to get to be the very best that you are, and you want to maximize your ability, then you play at a team like West Ham, who play you and they play a team around you and they develop you. Are you telling me he could have developed at a faster rate at another club? You look at what he's achieved so far. And he's still got development to do as well. He's
100%. Like they always say, I can't play him. He ain't got enough experience. The only way to get experience is to play him, and he would not have had the playing time that he's had anywhere else than at West Ham, in my opinion. No way. And he just happened to be quite a good player as well. You know?
Exactly. And he says that, Neville, and then in the other breath he goes, he really needs to develop his game and sort of move himself on. He's got to go to Man United, but he probably won't be any good for midfield. They'll have to play him at centre back, like you've just said. Turn it in. I mean, that's ridiculous.
You've got to remember, he was at Chelsea. He got released by Chelsea. They fancied Mason Mount over him. When he came to West Ham, they fancied Reece Oxford over Declan Rice as well. So the guy's always seemingly had to prove himself at every level. So he knows what he has to do, and he knows he has to work hard, and he's done it. And to me, not being a biased West Ham fan, but I've had comments from family members who support other teams. They've said this season especially, and last, but more so now, they've said he is some player. And it's true. And I think Calvin Phillips is a good player, but my God, those Leeds supporters must have voted en masse for the England Player of the Year. Because I think Rice, personally, it's a fine line, but I think he's been better than Phillips. But Phillips has been good as well. That's my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. What about yourself, Charlie?
Trying to decide how much I want to cause a fire here. I think Phillips was better than Rice at the tournament. I will say that. I don't think that's necessarily Rice's fault. They played a different system, and Phillips was the most effective player in that team. He was getting forward, he was getting stuff. And when you're looking at fan polls, it tends to be who scores the most, for example, and stuff like that. And he was doing a lot of that sort of stuff. I do think he had a better tournament, but I don't think that's Rice's fault. I don't mind, really, to be honest with you. I find it I feel like we can't, to an extent, I feel like we can't have our cake and eat it too, where last season we were saying people don't give Rice enough respect. And now people like Rio Ferdinand are going, every big club needs to go and get Declan Rice. So we're like, whoa, hang on a minute. I think it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like the same thing. Like, I'm totally okay with it. Rice, I think I'm really torn on him. Because I don't think he should be a box-to-box midfielder at all. I think if Declan Rice as a box-to-box midfielder can become a really, really, really good player. Declan Rice as a purely DM could become world-class. And I'm kind of really torn on this constantly. It makes me feel... I'm fine with him doing it at the moment because it's fun and games and he's scoring goals in Europe. But he needs to stop shooting from range. He does need to do that because he just cannot. He just needs to stop. It's never going to happen. But
I think we've seen that this season. We've seen absolute proof of that this season. He tried to be the forward player. Well, I don't know if he tried or if Moyes made him try to put him as the advanced player and Souček back when we've got an amazing, world-beating central defensive midfielder in our grasp. So for Christ's sake, use him as a central defensive midfielder. That is what he's there for. All last season, he protected that back four. And this season, Moyes decided in his infinite wisdom to turn it around. And he's now turned it back again. And we've seen the benefits of that in the last few games where we've looked kind of a lot more secure. I think if he'd have played that way round against Brentford, I don't think we'd be losing to Brentford.
No, I agree. It's it is frustrating. It is frustrating, but I just can't. Hang on a minute. I've got a couple of comments here we can run through.
Phillips is Southgate's golden ball. Rice is a different gear. Yeah, no. I think they complement each other. To be fair, I think they're great. They're both great players. Independently, if you were to put Phillips in there on his own or Rice in there on his own, they wouldn't be as good as the two together. They are a beautiful combination, and you've got to just give them that. You can't be doing this fucking Twitter nonsense of saying, like Leeds fans going, oh, Rice is shit, Phillips is brilliant, or the other way around, Rice is brilliant, Phillips is shit. They're a great combination who love playing together. Yeah,
but then you say they're a great combination, but the amount of stick that Southgate gets for playing them together, saying negative, we should be more attacking. It's a bit...
Yeah, but that's just
idiots. I agree with you, by the way, I'm just saying.
That's just idiots who want England to win every game 5-0, right? It just ain't going to happen. It's football.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, shall we move on to our next section?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. John, are you prepared?
Always. I've had a couple of Carlins, the strongest being known to man.
Okay. Well, welcome to our new section, Claret and Booze Mocks the Week. So we've got our first point here.
Yeah, quite aptly put there. Poor old Steve Bruce gets the chop, no pun intended. 1,000 games as a manager, you do sort of worry that, you know, he was given a bit of a raw deal by the Newcastle fans, and that there is a rumour that he actually went and approached the new owners. But as we said, he did get the chop. It's a little bit of a shame. But there you go. You know, what can you do about it, really?
Indeed. Next one.
Spurs fans. Oh, start of the season, 3 games in, DVD's out. Now, after a few little edgy wins, you know, over big teams, it's all back on again. Another DVD. I've never known a team to have 2 DVDs released of the season within 2 months. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I just want them one day to win the title, so they'll stop celebrating every little bloody thing, you know. I don't know where we go from here. I mean, obviously Sean's watching this now, and we're glad you muted Sean. But my God, please, when will Spurs fans learn to realise you cannot celebrate so early? Yeah, let's all calm down a little bit. Moving on to Newcastle, who we've covered quite in depth already. You know, the FA Premier League, no due diligence tests, or not a very good one indeed. The biggest thing that the Premier League seem to be worrying about is offending the said Saudi regime by wearing a tea towel on your head. Now, let's be honest. I'm not sure. Russ Abbott used to do it for years, as I'm sure Gary will tell you. It's probably one of the most least offensive things I've ever seen. But then again, I'm not part of that Saudi regime that go around chopping people's heads off. Come on, Premier League, please have a word with yourselves. It's not offending anybody, is it? I don't know. Newcastle welcome their new owners, Catwoman, as I now refer to her as. She's obviously some sort of superhero and obviously now a super magpie. To be honest with you, we've covered it. Sky Sports, their coverage of them. I turned on to watch West Ham Everton, and to be honest with you, as a neutral, you wouldn't have known who you're looking to watch. It's disgusting. Ant and Deck are there. Look at them, Ant and Deck, cheering it on. Yeah. They've got a new little bit of, you know, Saturday night takeaway coming up. You know, if you don't win the prize, you get beheaded. They look very happy about it. but don't, anything for entertainment, you know.
But don't don't overlook how happy she looks. Top left there.
Oh,
right? She looks so happy, and look how miserable she looks. Bottom right. She looks thoughtful at the minimum.
I'm worried where her finger's been because she's smelling it. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry, crude, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Jurgen Klopp, one of the loveliest Germans we've ever met. He weren't happy during the week in the old Champions League. Diego Simeone blatantly refused to shake his hand. Klopp was quite understandably very unhappy about this situation. And in fact, you know, he's taking him off the list. We will take him off the list. He is not on any Christmas card list, but he is on the list. Good luck to Jurgen. Vieira, absolutely disgusted. And you may think why I say that. Well, he was absolutely dismayed at the way his beloved Arsenal celebrated a 2-2 draw with a 95th minute equaliser like they'd won the Premier League. I felt sorry for the guy. An Arsenal legend, an Arsenal stalwart, now a Palace manager. What has his club become? You know, what has his club become? What a shame for the man. Terrible.
Disgraceful.
Danny Dyer, which one are we talking about? Danny with an I, Danny with a Y? I don't know. He was seen at Everton. He was seen at Goodison at the weekend. He was joining in the Jared Bowen chants. Bowen's on fire, and then he's shagging Danny Dyer. He refuted all the claims, then realised that Jared was actually shagging his daughter. To be honest with you, Genk and Danny Dyer with an I have got a lot in common. They both failed to keep clean sheets from Jared. And to be honest with you, you know, who wouldn't?
Oh.
Massive news coming out of Tottenham. Hun-Min Son, or Hun-Son Min, whatever you want to call him, he's decided to guest on the next episode, on the next series, I should say, of Strictly Come Dancing. He's adamant that by competing in this contest, he will finally get his hands on some silverware. We're going to be previewing it soon with our old mate Sean, who's sitting there in the pub having a pint of beer and some peanuts there. Spurs' cup final coming up on Sunday. Now, as a West Ham fan, we're always told that this is our cup final. Yeah, we're always told that. However, who's the team that arrested all 11 players from their last Premier League game before this one? It's not us, is it? It's Spurs. That will be Spurs. And they duly went to Vitesse Arnhem and lost in the National League Playoff Conference South, whatever it's called. And to be honest with you, it's not our cup final, Sean. It's yours.
Well, hang on. Was that Vitesse Arnhem or just Vitesse? Because was it the same team? Was it Vitesse Arnhem?
I think they're the same team. I think so.
He's bringing another Spurs supporter in.
To be fair, there's three of us. There's three of us. The backup is necessary.
That's the landlord. It's West Ham. It's just walked past me.
Love
sitting
that
in there. One sec. I'll show you. So you've got West Ham there, Jason. And you've got 2 West Ham season ticket holders sitting over there. And then the rest of them are.
Superb, Sean. Brilliant.
You chose the worst place to sit.
Was she a West Ham supporter as well?
Can I see your tattoos?
To be honest, I ain't got a clue.
Yeah.
I tried to tuck myself out the way, but I'm getting bombarded here. Everyone wants to get on telly. No, I don't know. I'll be honest. What you said earlier, Virgil with the Marshes, everyone at the moment is playing for themselves at West Ham. You look like Spurs did 5 years ago when we had Wanyama, then Bele, Fatonga, Alderweireld. You know, everyone is playing for each other. And I'll be honest, like looking at you've just got so much. It's like a band of brothers. And that's right. Like you know, and I wouldn't go as far to say it's a cup final jobby tomorrow. You know, we are slightly above you in the league, just slightly, but it's. And obviously with Liverpool, and I've mentioned this to Nick in text during the week, but with obviously Man United playing Liverpool tomorrow, and I think Liverpool are going to rout them. It's not as big a game it would be as to say if 2 other teams around our sort of area in the table were playing each other.
All right, but Sean, no, thanks for that. It's very complimentary. But Harry Kane has just started scoring again, and he's looking good, right? So,
well, he's got 1 goal.
He's scored for England as well. So Harry Kane started.
One of them, Mark.
Yeah, but he started firing again. So, do you think that Harry Kane, one of your own, he's going to get his dream move to Man City soon?
No, mate, that won't happen. If I'll tell you something, right? If that Haaland rumor is true, and he is really available for 67 million at the end of this season, then it's a no-brainer for Man City, innit, that they sign him. To be honest, if you boys finish in the Champions League, wouldn't you test your arm and go for someone like him for 70?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt.
You know what? For a split second there, I thought you was going to say Spurs are going to go for Haaland.
No, but if you've got, you know, if he is really available for 67 million or whatever that release clause is in his contract, why would City not go for him now at the end of this season over someone like Harry Kane?
How did that come in then, Sean? When Levy was asking for like 150 million, if there's a release clause of 67, how did that happen?
No, the release clause is for Haaland. I'm talking about. So I'm talking
Haaland.
about.
Blimey.
So I'm talking about if Kane, obviously Kane's worth what he's worth. He hasn't got a release clause, so whatever Levy wants, someone's going to pay. I'm saying at the end of this season, that ship has now sailed. Right, Kane's going nowhere. If January pops up, something might happen. But Man City, look at them tonight. Like they've done well enough playing three sort of attacking midfielders in the top 3.
Yeah.
So why would City wait now and pay 67 million for Haaland at the end of this year, if that release clause is true, which has been leaked to the media, and get himself a 23-year-old striker that's guaranteed goals instead of a 29-year-old, which he will be next season, that's prone to one big injury every season. It's an absolute no-brainer in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. That's amazing value, isn't it? That's amazing value.
So no doubt what will happen is that Haaland will sign a new contract, probably in January with 150 million release clause. And you know what? Man City or PSG or whoever it is, Newcastle even maybe, they'll just step up and pay it if they want him because they can afford to do it.
Listen, before I go for a little, I'll go for a toilet break in a minute, but I'll just leave you with this thought, Sean. I'll leave you with this thought. Back in 1981, when Ricky Villa in the replay, this is before all your times, right? Before Ricky Villa jiggled around the keeper and scored, in the replay of the FA Cup final against Man City, and following that in 1982, when Tottenham won the UEFA Cup. At that time, I didn't really mind Spurs. I was actually supporting Spurs at that point. I didn't mind them. I was I didn't have any animosity towards Spurs. I went to school in Bethnal Green with a load of Spurs and Arsenal supporters and everything else, and West Ham. And I was actually all right. I was still a kid. I hadn't grown up yet, but it was. I didn't have any hatred towards Spurs at all. I don't know when this dislike. It's not a hatred. It's not a hatred. It's a dislike of Spurs. I think it traces back to several years ago when I went to Tottenham and I was doing corporate, and it was in the, I don't know, it was one of the stands up in the corner. I don't know what one it was, the Ralph Milne, no, it was the Gary Mabbott area up in the corner of the old White Hart Lane. And when I was up there was this guy, because we were just behind the away supporters, and there was this guy he was singing songs. He was, he started the songs, and everyone's joined in, and they were singing songs about pikeys. And this guy was dressed head to toe in Burberry. I'm talking the hat, the coat, and the trousers. This is a full-length Burberry bloke, right? Dressed Burberry, singing songs about pikeys. And I just looked at him and I just thought, ain't you got a fucking mirror, mate? Ain't you got a mirror in your house? And so it's just that sort of thing. You're a decent Spurs supporter, Sean, and that's what kind of warmed me to Spurs back in the early 80s, and that was fine. I don't want to get too warm, John. I can see you trying to calm me down because I'm getting a little bit too cozy. But I never. The main thing here is I never used to hate Spurs, but now I kind of dislike them quite a lot. Why is that, Sean? And I'm going to go to the toilet. You explain.
Come on, Sean.
Well, the fella in Burberry was obviously a lost Millwall fan, I reckon. That's that.
Yeah.
That answers that question 100%. That's now gone. But I do think that, I'll be honest, I think between us all, and we look at Arsenal, yeah, it's a London rivalry, but we look at it and we go, they're just the boys down the road. They've got a lovely little YouTube channel that makes us all laugh on a Monday morning on our ways to work when we're streaming on the train. But I do think between the West Ham, Chelsea, Tottenham triangle, I do feel that is genuine hatred between us three. I feel like that we desperately want to win them games, and that's me as a supporter. I'll be honest, I'm desperate to beat West Ham tomorrow. I'm desperate to beat Chelsea. I'm desperate to beat our place, their place, whatever. It doesn't always happen, but.
It's not the same for everyone, Sean. I mean, we have got someone, Charlie. He's kind of a big deal in terms of West Ham.
That is patently untrue. Patently untrue.
In terms of West Ham YouTube, he is. He's brilliant. He goes on Hammer's chat, and Charlie isn't kind of. He's much more balanced than what I've just said. You're not anti-Spurs or anything like that, are you, Charlie? You're more.
I'm not anti anyone. I mean, if we were talking about Millwall, but we never do because they're irrelevant to everyone's life. I mean, like outside of that, and the difference is, Sean, is I grew up in North London, so all of my friends are either Arsenal, Tottenham, or for some reason Manchester United fans. So like, I can't sit here and pretend to have like a deep-seated hatred of any of them. I know nothing but every single person I know who supports Spurs, which are quite a few, all very nice people. So I can't really sit here and act like I have a hatred for any club at all, really.
No, I think a lot of it stems from personal experiences. That's what I think. So
100%, 100%.
It does. So when you're growing up, obviously you've known very nice chaps, Charlie, growing up that were Spurs supporters, and you've not had many bad experiences. Sean is a good lad.
Where does Sean live? Where does Sean live, though?
No, I'm not telling you. I know what you're like.
No, where is he? Is he from like Enfield Way, Hertfordshire? Where is he?
No. He lives in Manchester.
I'm not going to go and follow the geese. I'm just asking you genuinely because I think it. I don't hate them as
I use Uber, so we're never going to bump into each other anyway.
Oh no, he hates it now.
You know what? Typical Tottenham fan that is. Anyway, what I was going to say is, I don't hate Tottenham. I sort of hate them, but I don't. But my thing is that I love the banter. So the banter that we have between us in the last sort of like 20 years, the banter's been brilliant, right? And let's be honest, like Tottenham probably saw us as a bit of a pushover, at some point.
I don't think so. I think our games, our
games are always close.
They're always close. They're always close.
But what I'm saying is I think a lot of Tottenham fans thought that it's only West Ham, we can beat them easy to some degree. And I think that because we used to we could have terrible seasons and still perform brilliantly against Tottenham. And that was the strange thing about it, you know what I mean? That's what I think.
Yeah. Jamie O'Reilly the other night on TalkSport said that they used to turn up at Upton Park in the old days and they used to be right, we're gonna go out and slaughter them. They took West Ham with a pinch of salt.
And I think a lot of clubs did, yeah.
Look, what's it?
You know what, right? Yeah, but Jamie O'Reilly comes in there. How many Spurs squads? I don't even know this, right? How many actual match day squads was he actually even involved in? Because he talks a very good game on TalkSport. How many match day Tottenham West Ham squads was he actually involved in? Because he, on TalkSport, he loves to throw it the old. You think he was fucking. I think he was fucking
Tottenham legend, isn't he?
Fucking 370 appearances. You know what I mean? He's fucking.
Well, look, I'll tell you what.
Don't start quoting Jamie O'Hara.
No. But I'll tell you what we do. Listen, John, what we do, we get into the review now, and we'll start on kind of
preview, not a review.
A preview, and we'll touch on some memories from our most recent games, all right? And then we'll.
Great.
Well, sends it in towards Rice. He couldn't get near it. Snodgrass was hoping it would drop. Lanzini! It's incredible! What a goal from Manuel Lanzini! And the most unlikely of comebacks from West Ham United has happened! I can't believe it. There's players all over the pitch, on the floor. Tottenham players can't believe it.
A couple of little. Let me just give you an example because Spurs say this is our cup final, right? I went to the League Cup game, which was, you remember that game, Sean, where Adebayor scored the first goal, and then we came back and won 2-1. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I remember that. To be honest, most recent League Cup game was the Wembley one, wasn't it, where you beat us last knock-ins?
Yeah.
1-0 and you beat us 2-1, yeah.
Yeah, but this was one where I was invited along, and at the time, my company owned Autonomy, who was the company that sponsored Spurs, right? And so we had the middle box in the main stand, and it was behind the glass, and you were kept away from the supporters. You had, the crowd was piped in through speakers. And I was invited there by Spurs. There's a guy called Glenn who invited me along. And there was 8 of us in the box. And there was 4 West Ham and 4 Spurs. And it's like, this is your cup final. It's like, yeah, all right, it's a League Cup game, whatever. And so we turned up and Adebayor put them in front. And then literally before our very eyes, you could see. And in these boxes, in those old boxes in White Hart Lane, you had the glass. It was glass fronted, but it was also glass sided as well. So you could see all the way along, all the corporate boxes along, right? All the way. And apparently the West Ham game meant nothing to Spurs. When Adebayor scored, these guys were fucking climbing the windows. Like there was fingerprints and everything on the windows. Yeah. And, you cannot tell me that this doesn't mean.
No,
I know there's the Arsenal Tottenham thing. I know there's the Arsenal Tottenham thing as well, but this was something where they really wanted to rub our noses in it, and they didn't rub our noses in it. It was, and it's that kind of thing of Spurs. I think, and this is a bit controversial, I think us and Spurs should be more closer together, more closely aligned. as the sort of nearly men of London, right?
Yeah, but no, I don't think we are though, Gary. And I think that's why. And as we touched on before, the reason that we're not is because football rivalry. That's all part of it. And we like, I look forward to the Tottenham game. I look forward to the Arsenal game. I look forward to the Chelsea game. I don't think it's not genuine hatred. I just look forward to the game. That is literally all it is. And I love beating them. I love all the banter that we have over the years. It is that is what it is. But I mean, what are your but I think going back to a sort of an earlier point, what Sean was saying about how the games have always been pretty close. I mean, when you look at that, when you look at the last few games, they have been, and that's going through, when Spurs were kind of sort of doing very well as well. We rarely batter each other. That hardly ever happens, does it?
Yeah.
They're always close. But sort of going back to that game, Sean, what I do want to touch on, and I know I played that video. Can you tell me? Do you know? Going back to the one on the 18th of October, 2020, right?
What happened there, Nick? What was it? Oh, 3-0. Yeah, I remember.
Basically, the 3-0 one. So basically, you went 3-0 up after 15 minutes.
Oh.
How was you feeling when that first goal came in? Was you thinking that it was written in the stars that we was going to come back at that point? I'll unmute you now, mate. Go on.
Well, I was sitting in the bar in Turkey in the hotel, and there were 2 other West Ham fans in that fucking bar. And I was sitting there. 1 second, someone's just walking past. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Where are you sitting behind the
Pull the chair out. So, all right. So I was sitting in this bar in Turkey. These two other West Ham fans were sitting in there, and we were 1-0 up. And then this other bloke turned up, who he was a bit of a dickhead, and we went 2-0 up, 3-0 up. Then the second half come round, and obviously you boys crept back into it in the last 10 minutes of the game, and I was giving it large to these West Ham fans. Then my wife turned up, and she went with my little girl, and she said, "Oh, are we winning? Are we still winning?" And I said, "No, we're not. We're all going to bed." So we're all going to bed. No kids disco for anyone tonight. We're all going to bed. So that,
mate. I know. It was amazing. It was amazing.
It was, but you know what? It was one of them. But I tell you what upset me even more. And I know footballers outside of football, they all get on, and it's not like the old days. But when you see like a Boxing Day picture, and like Lanzini's there with Lamella giving it the old, hey, sharing a fucking pigs in blanket, and you think, fuck me, like 7 weeks ago they were fucking. They come back. They calls me fucking.
You just think they should never talk again? You think they should never talk again?
Shouldn't be pals, mate. Shouldn't be pals.
Well, I'll tell you what though. Charlie actually did. Have you seen Charlie? Sean, have you ever been able to watch the meme YouTube videos of all of these Spurs fan channel reactions and versus the West Ham ones? Have you ever watched that?
Mate. I can't say I've ever exposed myself to that. No.
Right, okay. Well, I'm not going to play it, so don't worry. But Charlie, we all went through that kind of emotion with him over and over and over again. So, Charlie, do you want to tell us kind of your kind of roller coaster on that day as well?
I mean, so because obviously I do the watch-alongs, so everything I experience is live on the internet. And at that time it was me and my friend Tom who used to do them, and so to pull the curtain back on that one a little bit, because of the way we were doing it, we were slightly behind the chat that day. So the chat was reacting to stuff before we were seeing it, so most of the time we were trying to avoid looking at the chat for spoilers reasons. And so the first goal goes in and we were like, "Wait, we've actually done something, what a time to be alive, let's go." And then I can't remember if it was the second goal. I think it was before the second goal. We were like cracking jokes and being like, right, we saw it happen on the live chat. We saw it happen go in. And so we were waiting for it to appear on our screens.
Yeah.
And we made a joke of being like, right, when we score this, because it was so late and we were like, nothing's going to happen. We were like, when we score this, let's act like we've just won. Let's go absolutely mad. And so there's this clip of us both going, like, I grabbed the webcam, I'm shaking it. We're going all crazy, right? Because the second goal is 3-2 at this point. And then my friend Tom, as a joke, goes, if we do equalize this, I'm running around topless. And I'm like, and then the chat are going to me, go on, Charlie, do it. And I'm like, no, you cannot get, there is zero chance of me doing that. And so anyway, We get to the end of the game. The free kick is about to be taken towards the thing. And I see, and Tom is sat there like this. He's watching it on his phone. He's got his phone on his desk. He's sat there like this, trying not to look at the chat for spoilers because he doesn't want to know if we scored. I'm sitting there running it. So I see in the chat, I see we've scored. And so I sort of go to the chat. I go, and so I just put Tom full screen, so you can't even see me, and you just see him like this. Like, I don't want to look. I don't look. And he scores, and he just goes. He starts screaming. He runs off camera, and then he comes back on completely topless, just running about like a madman after he scored. And I just let it happen because again, I'd seen we scored, so I couldn't have like the reaction because I was trying not to spoil it for him as well. And then we're chat going mad, so I just let him have it. And he's just running about topless on the screen. And yeah, it was chaos. And then obviously later that evening, you get like the clips going round. Like that clip specifically went weirdly viral on LinkedIn of all places.
Oh, really?
I don't know why. Yeah. I've had someone and Tom, someone had someone who Tom's whole family support West Ham, obviously. And Tom's dad had someone sending the clip on LinkedIn going, "Oh, have you seen this guy running about topless?" And Tom's dad's like, "Yeah, that was Tom. That's my son." So it went weirdly viral on like LinkedIn and places. But then obviously West Ham Clips puts it in their like compilation thing you're saying of all the West Ham and Tottenham fans' reactions and stuff. And yeah, to this day, I still get asked very frequently about specifically that clip.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And I'm just glad I put him full screen because if I was on there, I wouldn't have been able to go as insane as he did because I'd already been spoiled by the chat.
I just really enjoyed your reaction, Charlie, yours and Tom's reaction, because Tom was eating, wasn't he? He was having dinner at the time, and it was like 1 goal goes in, 2 goal goes in, and it was just you were just so calm with the whole thing, and almost started taking the piss out of it when we went 3-0 down. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we were 3-0 down in like 15 minutes, whatever insane it was. Like at that point, you're watching Spurs, and again, like I say, you want to be humbled. You sit there on the internet live watching a football match, especially against a team like Tottenham where there is animosity between the fans, and you just got to sit there and you'd be like, and all these Spurs fans are coming in, and you just got to sit there and be like, well, this is the next 2 hours of my life, I guess, and you just sort of have to absorb it, right?
He's seen it,
like,
He's seen it. He's spotted it. It's only been going on 20 minutes, Sean.
The first time you did it, I lost it. The first time, I don't know if you saw it. The first time you did it, I started laughing. I just had to.
You muted yourself. I saw you.
But yeah, no, it's one of those things where you just have to sit there and take it. And so by the time like we actually started scoring stuff, we were just like already like, whatever. Life is what it is. You just got to make the most of it and make a joke out of it. So when that goal actually went in, that was insane.
It was unreal. I mean, it was one of the best moments. I don't think I could have enjoyed it any more if I'd have been at the game, because my experience, I'll go for it very quickly. I manage my son's football team. I live in North London. They're all Tottenham fans. They all give me a bit of grief. And I was watching the game at a pub in a beer garden on our phone. And it was 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. You can imagine the grief I was getting. And then he says, "Can we watch a second half in your house?" Because I said, "I'm going now. I can't watch it no more." So he followed me home, and he came in. I put the telly on. First goal's gone in. He's gone, "Come on, we're going." To his son, I said, "You ain't fucking going nowhere. Jill, lock that door." I made him stay there. Honestly, it's brilliant. I think it was brilliant. It was a great day. But let's bring Sean back in now.
You gave him the old Fritzl treatment, did you, Nick?
I did, mate. I did. But Sean, what I was going to say is, in all honesty, what was worse for you? Because kind of I do kind of get some sort of comfort from knowing this. I just need to know what hurt you more. Was it the Lanzini goal? Or was it the Antonio one, the first one, the first defeat at your new stadium? What worse?
Show him the celebration, he might have forgot.
Was it that
one?
What,
that one? That one,
yeah. Was it
I know,
that
I forget. I know.
Or was it that one? Which one was it? Was it that one?
No, you know what? That Arnautovic played a massive part in that game where you beat us 1-0 at home. Played a massive part. I would say, mate, you should never lose a game. Mate, if you're coaching youth football, you should never lose a game if you're 3-0 up. Never in a million years. So
it was very un-Mourinho-like, wasn't it?
Well, you didn't lose. You just felt like you lost.
But you know what? I think we all compare Mourinho to the Mourinho of old, and that Mourinho was gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at the other night. What did they get beat 6-1?
Yeah, but that was a second string they had the other night. I've got to say that they lost to that Norwegian team.
Yeah, but then he brought his 4 first team players on the second half, and I think it's kind of 4 or 5 subs in the Europa League or something like that.
Yeah.
So he brought Abraham on, all that sort of stuff when they were 2-1 down. So. And they still went on and scored another 4 goals. So,
good point. Yeah.
So it is what it is. So that Mourinho's is long gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, but that Mourinho Tottenham team, if you look, they had a habit of scoring goals in the first 15 minutes of the game, and then if they did, they sat back and then absorbed the pressure for the rest of the game. We'll get on to this fella in a minute.
What are your thoughts on Kane at the moment? Because I know, obviously, you must love him. You're a Spurs fan. He's been great for you. Do you think that you should have let him go? Do you think it should have been a case that you've had the best out of him? He deserves his move, and now you're not getting the best out of him at all. Do you think you've almost missed the boat on that? I think you're stuck with him.
Yeah, like 100%. He should have. Levy should have been a man of his word. He should have let him go. They should have reinvested the funds into the squad.
Yeah.
And that's it really. You know what? If he still wants to play for Tottenham, then we'll all see that. But at the moment, it don't look like he does. If I'm being honest, he scored his goal last week against Newcastle, but he looks 60-70% of the player that he was. I don't know if you lot think that watching him on Sky, but he looks.
Yeah, I agree.
He doesn't look the same. He's not the same player. He's not the same player as he was last year.
But
definitely
again,
not.
Talking about Mourinho, if you look at Mourinho's track record with players, right? So let's take like Mourinho turned Benny McCarthy into a fucking ruthless striker.
So did we.
Yeah. And then obviously he went to Chelsea, and he got Drogba playing the best football of his career, right? And then he went to where did he go from there? He went to Inter Milan. He got Diego Milito banging, right? Smashing goals in. He then went to Ronaldo, got Ronaldo in the 40s, 50s a season. So, like, wherever Mourinho's gone, people talk about him as a defensive manager, right? Yeah, he is a defensive manager. He likes to hold on to a lead. But wherever Mourinho's been, that vocal point one striker, he always performs well, right? Always performs well. Look at Tammy Abraham's gone there. Tammy Abraham's in the form of his life at the moment. But,
and his form dipped. Hasn't Charlie will know? Charlie, hasn't Roma's form dipped recently?
They lost 6-1, didn't they?
Well, they lost 6-1, and then in the league they started on fire. But in I think the last 5 or 6, they've lost 3. I think. So they in general have dipped. I mean, he's still looking decent, but they have dipped. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But like Abraham's now bringing players. But Abraham is now a player that's bringing players into play. He's scoring goals. You know, like. We're very quick in English media to hammer players, you know. We're very quick to hammer strikers, bury them. Do you know what I mean? But wherever Mourinho's been, he's always been good to have it. But that striker's the vocal point. If they're not scoring, we're not winning points. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what do you think, Sean? What do you think of Nuno?
Nuno, oh mate, in my opinion, he's not up to the job. And in my opinion, he's the worst. He's the worst Daniel Levy appointment since Xhaka Santini. He's the worst appointment.
What is that a lot? Is that the same amongst Tottenham fans?
I ain't got a clue, mate. To be honest, most of my pals are West Ham and Millwall, so I don't really talk to a lot of Tottenham fans.
But I was listening to some Spurs supporters phoning in the other night on a Jamie or Jason Cundy show, and one of them phoned in and said, "No, he's got to go. No, you've got to go." He said he was a bit rubbish. You know, pragmatic was the word. Pragmatic.
I think he's made one sub in the last 180 minutes. Do you know what I mean? One of them's Europa. Yeah. Have a look, mate. I think one of them's Europa Conference game. He didn't make any subs against Newcastle last week.
Sean, what I am going to do, because I'm conscious that Charlie's going to have to go shortly, but just to ease up on you, because I know that Charlie does like this guy. So I'm going to let Charlie give you his kind of rundown on Son. Come on, Charlie.
Go on, Charlie.
He's just really flipping good. Like, Tottenham have 2 world-class players. It's Harry Kane and it's Son. And if Son was playing for perhaps a bigger, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, Sean, a bigger club, like a genuine like Champions League title challenging club, or if he was playing for a bigger country than South Korea, I think the conversation around Son would be very, very different. When you look at it, I don't mean that disrespectfully, Sean. I should say that clearly.
No, mean it.
Nah.
Don't worry.
I don't want to be too. Look, the thing is about Son is, especially if you're playing counter-attacking football, which Spurs obviously have done for the last couple of seasons. Son is maybe the best person possible to be in that position. You're looking, he's honestly, he's like he does everything, and he's done it for so long. I remember when he was in Germany doing it, and I was like, oh, this kid is legit. And when he moved to Tottenham,
thanks for leaving Antonio on that page, though. Thank you, Nick, for leaving Antonio on that page. You brick.
I genuinely think he's one of the best players in the Premier League, and I don't think he gets the respect he deserves, potentially because he's standing next to Harry Kane, and it is quite difficult because obviously Harry Kane over the last couple of years has been one of the best strikers in the world, let alone in the Premier League. And so when you're standing next to him, it's kind of like, oh, it's Son. Or when Harry Kane's out injured and Son has to lead the line, people going, oh, Harry Kane's out injured. No, Son is unreal. He's so
you know what? I'll tell you another thing as well that goes a long way with us fans, right? Regardless if you win or lose. Son is one of the last he is the last player to be on that pitch clapping off the away support. Support.
Really?
And you know what? I don't care who you are.
Yeah, that's a big
standard you are of a player is the last player to come in. And he claps everyone off. And you know what? He always has a smile on his face like he wants to be there. And to sign his new contract with Spurs in fucking shambles.
Always got a smile on his face. Have you seen this slide, Sean?
What's it called? Let's call it Google Pixels, whatever it's called. Google's Pixels. We called this. But I'll tell you what. Let me make a slide of 5 pictures. I'll find you 5 pictures.
I'll tell you what we will do. Hang on 1 minute. I'm going to let because I know Charlie does need to go. So I'm going to just mute you for a minute, Sean. Charlie, thank you so much for coming on, mate. It's been really good. Been really informative. And I've really enjoyed it, mate. Thank you so much. Do you want to give your channel a plug as well while you're at it before you go?
First of all, if you haven't subscribed, obviously to Claret and Blues, do that below. Come on now, get involved, subscribe, like the video, all
Charlie.
that good stuff. Come on now, let's be real about it.
We'll send you the pizza in the post.
Oh, mate, more of it. Yes, it's all I need. I live on it. I sustain myself off it. I've got a couple of bananas.
Boy, Charlie, I'll buy that exercise bike off you if you ain't using it, son.
Can you not see? I'm a picture of health, mate. I don't know what you're talking about. That's the only
He's got bananas and an exercise machine. I mean,
exactly. If you haven't already, come check us out at Hammers Chat. I am live doing watch-alongs every single match day, as well as doing everything else. So tomorrow, if you've got nothing better to do with your life, if you're not enjoying the match in a fun way, then come at least watch me fail around like an absolute moron while watching the match. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Subscribe to Claret and Blues, obviously. Thank you very much for having me on. I've genuinely loved it.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. It's been brilliant.
I shall speak to you all later. Good luck for the weekend, Sean. I'll say that now because you're going to need it because we're coming, bro. We're coming.
Come on, you guys.
Come on.
Come on, you guys.
All right, speak to you later, everyone.
See you later.
Good luck, Charlie.
Oh, what a good bloke.
He's a great bloke.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
He knows his stuff as well, doesn't he?
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
You know. But anyway, it's I suppose moving on to the game. What I have got as well is there another slide? 1 minute. Is there another piss-taking slide or a decent one? Right, there we go.
One more sleep to the cup final, Sean. One more sleep to the cup final.
Sean, what I want to know from you is, I know that you did rest all 11 of these players for the for the game the other day. Do you think that you're likely to set up in the same way as what you have here? What with these players? Do you think that's going to be the way that you go?
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. I'll unmute you. Sorry. 1 minute.
100%. Nuno played 4-3-3 for 3 games. He got beaten every single one. Since then, he's gone back to the 4-2-3 one that served him so well at the start of the season. He'll stick with his team 100%. Yep. And tomorrow, I think whoever scores the first goal will win the game. That is my opinion.
Okay. Well, not always the case, but I do make you right because I think
that's my opinion tomorrow. But that first goal, I think we'll win that game.
I think you might be right because what I do think about Tottenham at the moment, I'm just going to mute you for a second, John. 1 minute. What I do think about Spurs.
Nick, I've just got to nip to the toilet, mate. I'll be back in a minute. Right?
Yeah, no worries, mate. No worries. what I do think, John, about Spurs under Nuno, I don't think he's the most exciting manager. I think he's a natural manager for them to have gone and got after Mourinho because he's a similar style. So they haven't had to go and do a complete rebuild. I think, Nuno can come in. He is quite pragmatic. He does play quite a defensive style. And I think, when you look at what he did, at Wolves, he was brilliant. I know that Spurs are a different level team to Wolves. They are. The expectations are different as well.
And I think also what you got to remember is that with Nuno, he brought that team up from the Championship, and he brought a lot of them players up with him through the Championship. So it's like he's built a like we said about West Ham with Moyes. He's built a spirit. He's built an atmosphere that they can recreate, and they came up to the Premier League, and they carried on with that ethos. And he's very selective over who he brought in, and he's gone to Spurs, who on paper are a bigger club than Wolves. They probably are a bigger club than Wolves.
Yeah, they are.
There's no disrespect to Wolves.
Yeah.
But he's also got the pressure of the fans' expectations. The fans' expectations when he took over Wolves were just get us into the Premier League, please. The fans' expectations at Spurs are, with all due respect to Sean and every Spurs fan out there, is to win us something. And I look, when they appointed him, I was very surprised. I'll be honest with you. I was very surprised. But like Sean said, it was a very, someone might have said, it might not have been Sean, it was a very Daniel Levy appointment. And but then again, you could say Tottenham did try the other route. They tried the big character. They tried Mourinho. They did try the other route. So it's like, as fans, look, we're all football fans. We're all the best managers in the world. We're the best players in the world as football fans. But from the outside looking in, I don't see him as a Spurs manager. I truly don't.
No. Yeah, but what didn't make sense? What didn't make sense to me was that, and Sean will back this up. But I do think Spurs. We know they're desperate for silverware, especially because they've been riding that. No, but they've been riding that crest of a wave. They've had a brilliant batch of players. They should have won something, and they haven't. Yeah. Right. So. But I think it is more than that. And I think that most of the criticism that Mourinho was getting from Spurs fans, it wasn't about lack of silverware. It was playing style. I think like West Ham, I do think they want to be entertained. We do. We like watching good football, and I think
but Nick, we were there at one point, mate. Like this is obviously Tottenham fans talking on the West Ham channel. Like, we were there at one point. We was on the fucking door. We was knocking on it. We got to the January transfer window. Like the manager wanted this player, wanted that player. We ended up with Louis Sahara at fucking 34 years old. We ended up with Ryan Nelson from Blackburn at 35.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's just, and that, in my opinion, mate, it's Daniel Levy all over. It's like you turning round at work, for example, saying to your boss on the construction site, saying, "Look, I need 2 new supervisors," and he sends you 2 labourers, and that is effectively what Tottenham is, and that's what Tottenham has been for the last couple of years. Like, that's like give it like your Father Christmas a shopping list, and you end up with you want all your presents from Hamleys, you get them all from fucking Aldi, and that is exactly what
So then, what about that team when you had Pochettino as manager? Was Levy lucky? Was he lucky with that appointment?
No,
what are you saying?
He wasn't. So Pochettino built that team to a certain point. He got the Champions League final, right? Don't forget, right? There was no investment for 18 months in that team after. Until Mourinho took that team over, no one bought a player, did they?
No, very true. Yeah.
No.
The first player after that Champions League final. Someone might comment on this after. I think the first player after that Champions League final was Gedson Fernandes for. The first player, was the same guy in Ndombele. So they didn't pay for, but that was a long time after the actual Champions League final.
Yeah.
I think that was that was a year after.
I went to that. I didn't go to the game, but I went with my cousin Joe, who's a Tottenham supporter. I went with my cousin Joe. Oh.
No, he's fine. I've just muted him for a second.
Right. I went with my cousin Joe, who's the Tottenham supporter, my cousin Danny, who's an Arsenal supporter, and my cousin Derek, who's a West Ham supporter. The 4 of us went to watch the Champions League final in Enfield in a Tottenham pub, and there was pictures of like Gary Mabbott and Glenn Hoddle and fucking everyone. It was very distasteful, right? And the biggest memory of that game was Arsenal. They attacked the Spurs pub at half time. In fact, it was as soon as the other team went 1-0 up, the Arsenal team attacked. And I've never seen an Arsenal team attack anyone, let alone Spurs before. So I felt I felt that I was actually a Spurs supporter at the time because I felt that I was being attacked by the Arsenal. I didn't know Arsenal had it in them, but they did have it in them. So that was very strange for me. Very new.
Yeah, no. I'll bring you back, Sean. 1 minute. I've got you muted. Go on,
That's
Sean.
right. So I think from the start of that season, when we got to the Champions League final for the following Christmas, so we didn't sign a player. And like, for a team that's in development, and like someone put out the other day, I think like with Danny Murphy or something like that, saying how many rebuilds does one chairman need? Do you know what I mean? Like it's all great having the best training ground in the world, the best stadium in the world. You know, like last 2 weekends you've had the NFL there with the Champions League, the national break. You know, when Anthony Joshua there the weekend before that, or the sub weekend against Watford. You know, I reckon Spurs owned £6 million that game, just over the gate with beers and.
So would as a Spurs fan, like generally, do Spurs fans want a new owner? What is the stance on leaving?
Yeah, well, Spurs fans obviously they want a new chair. I wouldn't say a new owner, I want a new chair.
New chairman.
A new owner's going to come with a new chair. But you know what, mate? The only people that can afford to buy Spurs now, realistically, are the Googles, the Amazons, the Facebooks.
Yeah, that's right.
The Microsofts.
Yeah.
There is the only people know you ain't going to get the Arab that bought Newcastle coming in there going to nick it for a sniff at 300.
You wouldn't want that though, would you? You wouldn't want that though, I don't think.
I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it.
Well, the thing is, as well, is like, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it, but you know, before the pandemic, before obviously like all our season tickets are on our phones and all that sort of stuff, right? I don't know if your season tickets on your phones now.
Yeah.
Almost over.
So like everything's tracked now, isn't it? So you know, like before, obviously, like a lot of people would sell their tickets on the exchange, which you can't do that now. Basically, season tickets go to season ticket holders or members, and then that's it. Nothing goes on general sale. Again, I don't have West Ham.
2 minutes, I'll be back.
Yeah, you've got but loads of the fans, like a lot of the Korean fans that come on like the old Thompson travel deals, they're not now at Spurs either, spending their like 300 or 500 quid in the club shop before the game.
But go on,
that's
sorry,
improved. But them tourist fans, that's massively improved the atmosphere in the stadium. And a lot of people have said that.
That's a bit harsh, Sean. I think, you know, the tourist fans at West Ham, you know, there's like loads of them now. Now we're in the Olympic Stadium, there's loads of them. And they tend to get sneered upon. We don't look at them as atmosphere. You know, the atmosphere comes from the old school who turn up for the cup games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Gary, I had a bloke behind me, mate. He chanted, "We want Son." 78 minutes before he realised that someone even in the starting fucking 15 was in.
Fucking hell.
And he probably had 300 quid's worth of fucking merchandise in his see-through bag.
Did he have the half and half scarf? Did he have the half and half?
I was just going to say about the half and half scarf. I was just going to say that. I hate the half and half scarf.
That's Man United or Liverpool, isn't it, the half and half scarf? That's what they've given us, isn't it?
No, you get half and half scarves West Ham Brighton now.
You do. But what I'm saying is they're the clubs that invented it, ain't they? Man United and Liverpool.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Sean, I don't hate Spurs because of
that's
the
Millwall fan, chaps.
Oh no, it's got worse.
Oh fucking hell! No one likes him. He don't care.
No one likes him. He don't care. He said.
But Sean, you're not the kind of Spurs fan who winds me up and makes me hate Spurs, right?
Gary, I'll be more than happy for you to buy me a pipe whenever you want.
Yeah. I think
still tight like most of them, though.
Yeah. They're all tight.
Right. Muzzle soft.
I'll tell you what, Sean. Do you want to hang on? What we do? We're going to run through our lineup predictor. How we think we're going to line up. We won't take the thing because we know how we're going to line up. But stick around because we're going to do a Premier League predictor at the end. So give us about 5 minutes and then we'll come back, mate.
Yeah, lovely. No problem, chap.
Stay there, mate.
Cheers, Sean.
Cheers, Sean. Right. So, okay. Right. Virgil of the Marshes? Are you there? Hello?
I'm here, mate. Don't worry. I'm always here.
I'll tell you what, I'm not just saying it. This craft beer, right? I've had a few tonight, which are very strong. That it's called Northern Monk. Right?
Did you buy it because you like the can?
And this, which is New Zealand IPA, Brewdog versus Cloudwater. I'm quite pissed.
Apparently,
anyway,
this is a brew beer as well. Apparently, I don't know if it's true.
It is right. Let's get into it. I'm putting Fabianski in goal because we know that's going to happen.
It's better than being a Chelsea fan and drinking Harry Monk, isn't it? Do you know what
Yeah.
Oh, you!
Hey.
He's good value, old Sean, though, isn't he?
Mate, he's brilliant, mate. He's brilliant. Shame he's a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so left back. Give me a left back.
Cresswell.
Well, defence speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah. Just put the defence in there, Nick. You know what it's going to be.
What are you mentioning about that, Nick? For fuck's sake.
All right, no. We have got to talk about right back. We don't know the right back's going to be.
Look, it could
Johnson.
be. Yeah, it's going to be Johnson, right? It could be.
Foul's not fully fit yet. Another couple of weeks away, I've heard.
You know, when I went to that game that Sean mentioned earlier, where we beat them 1-0 at White Hart Lane, the first game they lost at White Hart Lane, and I was there, and it was beautiful. It was amazing.
I'm not sure Sean mentioned it, but anyway, go on.
Well, I think someone else mentioned it, but on that day, what's his name? Flash, the right back.
Who?
Fredericks.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He played that day.
I would play Fredericks against Son. Fredericks on Son.
That's what happened that day. Fredericks shut Son down that day.
That is what I would do. So can I put Fredericks in because he played the other day?
No, this is what you think rather than what you want.
No, but Fredericks did come on. No, but Fredericks did come on the other day, right?
Yeah,
and he did.
But who do you think's going to start?
If Fredericks is fit, he plays in front of Johnson in my mind.
And I'll be honest, Nick. When you had Fredericks playing, we didn't have Regulon bombing on either. That's the only thing I'm going to say here.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Who do we think's going to start? It's going to be Johnson, isn't it?
I think Johnson. I think that's the 6 straight away.
Straight away.
Okay. Give us a number 10.
I don't think.
In front.
Well, number 10 in this game, he's going to be. It's going to look the front three of attacking midfielders is going to be the regular ones. It's going to be Fornals left, Ben Rama middle, Bowen right.
There's no change because there can't be a change because that is the strongest lineup, and that's it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Is Antonio?
I don't think Johnson is the strongest lineup.
I've seen that rumour. Yeah, I've seen the.
There's a rumour that Antonio's injured, right?
I think they'll still put him in.
I think that's Moyes' mind games.
Put Antonio.
Honestly, I think that is Moyes' mind games. There's no way Antonio's injured.
What,
Antonio on crutches.
They reckon that knock last week's done him in, did they?
No.
You're hoping, Sean, ain't you?
Yeah. No, don't worry about it, Sean. Hang your happen.
My good old mate Antonio, my good old mate.
That is the team, basically. That is the team.
That's what we're going to get. I think there's a question mark over right back. I think there is an argument that says, for me, I'm honestly, I think if Fredericks is fit, I play him there because I think he's gonna cope with Son. I think he will cope with Son. You know, he's got recovery pace.
Yeah.
I'll play him there.
So going back to.
I'll ask you a question. Right? Is this Fabianski's last season for you? Like, if you Ariola on loan, he's a lovely goalkeeper, isn't it, Ariola?
Yeah, he's a good keeper. This is Fabianski's last season. But
in football or at West Ham?
No,
West Ham. I think he'll go back to Poland.
I think next season he'll get another deal, but it'll be like number 2. I think it'll be number 2 for Ariola's number 1.
His issue is he's got no distribution, Sean. None. He's a good goalkeeper, but he's an old-fashioned goalkeeper.
Yeah, so I would say I do love an Ariola. So I'm looking forward to you.
So Nick, I don't want to
embarrass you. He took it down to that level, isn't he?
Nick, I don't want to embarrass you, but last week you wrote off Souček's entire career.
Yeah,
and said you want to run him out of 10.
I did. In this game, I'll play him. In this game, I will definitely play him.
What is that, Nick? What is that?
Hey?
What is that?
You run him looked half decent the other day for the first time.
No, he didn't look half decent. He looked fucking proper decent.
He did. He looked much more like the Czech Perlo that we all know. That's all I'm going to say.
Czech Perlo. He looks more like a Czech Ken Sherman.
Anyway, that is the team. That is the team for tomorrow. Now we've got a couple of players.
Sean, who do you fear most at West Ham, Sean?
Antonio all day long.
Yeah. Apart from the obvious, is there anyone else that you look at and think they can hurt us?
No, mate, not at all.
Just Antonio.
I think Rice is so disciplined. I think Rice is so disciplined in the way he plays football. You know what I mean? Like, Moyes, he does what the manager tells him to do. But I think Antonio, he just loves it. He's a proper. He's a bit like. Well, he's not as skillful as the Canio was for you, but do you know, like in regards to like the fans' talisman, do you know, like fans want? Do you know what I mean? Like he's one of them players. Like
I've got to say that Sean picked up on earlier about the way we play. The way we play, he picked up on it, and he picked up on Arnautovic and the role that he had in that goal against Tottenham when we won that first game at White Hart Lane, the first game they'd ever lost at a new White Hart Lane, and I was there just behind Arnautovic as he played the ball into Antonio, and he slammed that ball home, and that was a great day. That was a great day. It's the only time I've ever been to that new stadium, and I enjoyed my day out, I must admit.
I look forward to welcoming you back. I really do.
Thanks for mentioning that, Sean, because that was a lovely moment. That was a lovely moment.
I'll tell you what we do, right? I'll tell you what we do. Just quickly, before we go, we'll do a Premier League predictor for the rest of these fixtures and next week to see where we can potentially.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to give you the first one: Brentford versus Leicester. How do you think that's going to go?
2-2.
Desmond. Desmond. Right, next one is West Ham Tottenham. I'm going to give that not to Gary because he's unrealistic. I'm going to give it to John.
Can I do a Gary prediction as a joke?
Hey?
If I was Gary, I'd say 4-0 West Ham. Right?
Yeah, no.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to say 2-1 West Ham.
2-1.
That is, to be fair, that is a score that I would go for as well. So well done, John.
What would your one be? Would it be 2-1 the other way or 1-1? What would you say?
I think tomorrow's game, I think that's either 2-1 or 3-2 either way. I don't know who it's going to go to, though.
You think there's goals in it?
Get off the fence, Sean.
Oh, I think there's going to be a lot of goals.
Sean, get off the fence.
Sorry, mate. Gareth Southgate's fucking done me. I'm really sorry.
No, Sean.
4 years of Gareth Southgate. He's done me.
Sean, this ain't a thing as like ifs and maybes. You've got to decide now. What are you going to decide?
All right, 3-2 Tottenham. Right?
Oh, it's a bit harsh, Sean.
Oh, it's a bit harsh.
Oh, get off the fence. That's a bit harsh, Sean.
Right, anyway, Gary, go on, go. You're Man United, Liverpool.
1-2.
Yeah.
I think Ollie's going to.
I think Liverpool. I think
1-4, right? 0-4.
Yeah, 100%. I think 4-1. I think Liverpool will rout them.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I reckon when you boys get so successful, you've got betting companies coming into this channel. I reckon you've got to be showing the odds on this channel. And tomorrow's bet is over 4.5 goals in both games, and that is the bet tomorrow. Over 4.5 goals.
Well, Sean, you're coming back anyway, mate. You're coming back on. But
whoa! Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Wait a little minute here. He ain't coming back if they win. He is not coming back if they win. I'll tell you that much.
I don't want to see him for 6 months if we win. If we lose, I don't want to see him for 6 months.
I'm already Amazoning where can I buy an Uber T-shirt?
For the love of
God. No, he's a bastard. Right, listen, I've calculated the results. If this goes like that tomorrow, we end up in 4th, and Tottenham are 6th. Let's go to the next run of results next week. So I'm going to go Sean first. Leicester, Arsenal.
Oh, mate, fucking hell, that is a tough one. I'll say Leicester the home team. I'll give the Leicester 2-1. I'll say.
Of course he does. Right. John, Burnley, Brentford. Brentford. That's impossible.
0-2. 0-2.
Right, Gary, Liverpool, Brighton.
4-0.
Right, I'm going to go Man City. I'm going to go Man City 2, Palace 2.
What? You're off your head.
I am. Right, Newcastle, Chelsea, Sean.
0.
1-5.
Yeah, I'll go with that. No, that's good. I think the one's a bit excessive, but I think it's good. I think it's good.
St. Maximan is in my fucking fantasy team.
Right, Gary, you've got Watford versus Southampton.
Well, based on what they did today, Watford 2,
all day
Southampton
long.
1.
Hey?
Watford 2, Southampton 1 after today's result.
Right, now what we're going to do here, to make it fair, I'm going to get John to predict Tottenham's result, and I'm going to get Sean to predict our one. But if Sean predicts a loss, I'm going to go back and change Sean's score. Right. Right, so, John, Tottenham versus Man United.
I'm going to go 1-2 Man United.
Okay.
I'm going to say 2-0. I'm going to say 2-0 Tottenham.
Would you say 2-0 Tottenham in that one? Do you know what? If it was me, I would go for Tottenham winning that one, but we'll leave it as that's what we called it.
Puts you further up the table, doesn't it? Puts you further up the table.
That's what we're doing it for, is the table, the fictitious table. That's all I do it for.
Right, Norwich nil.
I'm
And
going to
what
go.
Leeds
Oh,
going
you
to get?
know what, Gary? Pick that one. Norwich Leeds.
Well, I'll tell you what, right? If I'm calling this one, that'll be Norwich's first win of the season, 1-0.
Oh, right.
Norwich is shit. Leeds are shittier.
John, who you worst?
Oh, Villa, West Ham, 1-3.
Yeah, well done.
Oh!
Well done, Sean.
Well done, Sean.
We love
Go.
Sean.
He can come back on. Right, and I'm going to go Wolves 2, Everton 1.
That's 2-3, I reckon.
I'll go for that.
You know what?
3-2.
You know what?
2-3, I reckon.
I was talking earlier about Norwich, right? Norwich do not seem to care about getting relegated every year they come up. They don't care, do they?
Don't give a shit.
Why
Don't
do
give a
they
shit.
not care? Why do they not care?
No, I was listening to TalkSport the other week, and a bloke went, "Oh, it's so funny, Norwich." He said, "Because they're cheering my stomach." He goes to the players, "You know what? You work really hard for 1 year, then you know what? You have a year off. You work really hard for 1 year, and then you have a year off. You work really hard, and that's exactly what they are. They are. That's exactly what they are." And it cracked me up. There's a bloke. It's the Irish
It's
fella
true.
on Sunday
It's
morning
true.
on TalkSport.
Yeah.
I can't remember
Cascarino.
It's not that prick. But yeah, the Irish fella on Sunday morning on.
Cascarino's not even Irish, is he?
Yeah, but he was going on about But I just thought that is so true. They come up for you, but mate, if you was a Norwich fan, you'd be fuming because they.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they are, though. I'm not sure if they actually are.
Why would you sell your best player, Buendia, to Aston Villa?
Totally agree. Yeah.
Season, right? That's like you coming up from the. It's like you boys coming up from the Championship, or us coming up from the Championship, and us selling like Son, or vice versa. You saying Antonio or Suchek or Rice.
Yeah.
No, you do not do that if you've been promoted from that division. Into that division, 200 million from Sky TV straight away for the TV rights. You've got no reason to sell him. You know what I mean? Apart from Delia Smith. Fucking hell, Oxo sells today because people are working at home and people are knocking up their own gravy. That's the only reason that they have sold that they've sold him.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
There you go. Look, we've got Michael Brennan here. He says, "I'll buy Sean a drink." There you go. So you get
Sean.
You're getting fans in the.
You got a drink
No,
off
but-
of Mike.
You've got
Oh,
West
boy,
Ham
Michael.
fans that like you, Sean. How's it feel, mate?
That's all right. I'll buy Michael an haircut next time I see him as well.
Look, he loves the NFL. Right. I think that drink's been redacted, Sean, now, after that comment.
Hopefully it's just down to a Jaeger bomb, though, or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go to Manchester and buy Sean a drink. I can't wait.
I must admit, Sean.
I'm in
Sean,
Kent, really, mate. I'm in Kent, really. That's Nick trying to hide me from the members of the public.
No, Sean, you've been good value tonight. I've enjoyed having you on there.
Gary. Thanks a lot,
That's
mate.
good.
Mate, it's about being fair at the end of the day. You know what I mean? We've all
Yeah,
talked about
yeah.
the hatred between the clubs and all this shit, but you know, mate, we'd all shake each other's hands after the game and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you
know
say
what, mate, the
that,
best
but
team
I'm
win.
not sure if I shake your
That's
hand.
right. Sean, what?
shake
Sean,
hands
what?
or stroke beards, whatever you like, Gimli, whatever you like.
Sean, listen. What song are you most fearing hearing tomorrow? Is it this one? Tottenham get battered wherever they
They
go.
go. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go.
What's the other one?
Or is it? It's happened again. Surely that
It's
must pick you
happened
off.
again. It's happened again.
I can't sing the other one because it's quite offensive, isn't it?
It's
Having
happened
it
again.
Having a 4-year-old indoors, I don't wake up to the Frozen fucking musical playing again on the iPad. But yeah, I would probably say it's the second one. Yeah.
Oh, it's happened again. Always winds Tottenham
it's
up.
happened
You've got to be
again,
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%,
All right, well, Sean,
mate,
you've been great value, mate. Cheers for joining us,
Brilliant.
mate. And,
Thank you, Sean.
you know what?
Thank you, Sean.
Whatever happens on Monday, especially if we beat you, I'll come and buy you breakfast in the morning.
Oh, lovely. I look forward to that, mate.
All right, mate.
That's the first from you putting your hand in your pocket, mate.
Yeah, I know.
What are you doing? What time you leaving? What time you leaving the pub, Sean?
And your brother knows that as well. Look at him now.
Yeah, no.
What time you leaving the pub, Sean?
When it closes, mate.
Well,
I just
you're going to get a lasagna on the way home?
No, mate. It's only a 100-yard dash to my front door from this pub, so I'm very
He's
low.
full up, mate. He's been.
Oh, it's up again.
He's been.
It took you a while to notice that, Sean, didn't it? It was all Nick's idea, mate.
Sean, you've been brilliant, mate. Thank you very much.
You have.
Oh,
You've been brilliant.
You know what, boys? Good luck with the channel, and it's a fucking
Thanks,
good
mate.
laugh. So all the best. You take care. All right.
Cheers, Sean.
Cheers, Sean. Nice one, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Top man.
All right. Go on, Gary. Go on, wrap it up. Wrap us up.
Right, so look, that's us nearly done. But first, an important message, and this is important. Please make an effort to like and subscribe to our channel for free. If you don't know how to do that, DM me, Gary_Killington on Twitter. Thanks this week to our guests, Charlie Walsh and Spurs' very own Sean. Nice bloke, actually.
Very nice.
Thanks also to our regulars, Nick and John. And thanks also to me, from me. We'll be back next week for a Friday night booze up with Nigel Khan, returning to talk about all things West Ham, including Spurs at Spurs, City, and the upcoming games against Villa and Genk. Thanks for joining us. See you next week. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.